Hello everyone. Today we are back for a unique video of sorts, and that is our TDT Season 7 MVP run. Now, I've been looking forward to making this video since it was shaping up to look like I was going to be MVP, and I was like, okay, I gotta provide this content to you all because this is a special, unique moment, alright? Playing in a team tour is already hard enough, and having a consistent good record is already difficult. But to become MVP is something only a select few of players can ever accomplish. And so that is why I'm providing this video here today. We are going to be going over my prep, my games, my thought process, and overall just the journey that it took to get to this position. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right. First, I'm just going to talk about the experience of TDT overall. Okay, so starting off, let's talk about my team. So I was drafted for 32k to the Sfeel chairs. My captains were Hacker and Sfeel, and I was pretty happy with this just because I'm familiar with Hacker and Sfeel overall. I know they were participated. I'm not sure if Sfeel was a captain in DPL, but I know that Hacker did captain in one of the most recent DPLs, and I'm also pretty familiar with some of the people that came onto our team. However, there was also a lot of people who I didn't know, some Smogon based players and some other players in the community who I've never really interacted with. So I thought this was going to be a cool time to just sort of play alongside some new people. And yeah, overall though, I was pretty satisfied with the team that we ended up with. It looked pretty strong. Going into this TDT season, I wasn't necessarily trying to do too much. In the past two, I think, TDT seasons that I've played in, I kind of took the approach of not doing too much overall. I really just wanted to play my games, and that was about it. However, going into this season, I kind of knew that with a little bit more free time on my hands, if my team was really doing well and I was winning, I knew I was going to put in a little bit more effort than beforehand, and that kind of worked out to be the case here. So anyways, let's dive into our first matchup that we have for week one. Going into this season, I primarily played Oras, which is something definitely really new for me. And all my times of playing team tours, I have never really played Oras. I think I played one game of Oras, which was in DPL. It was the season I was on. The season I was on Wings, yeah, and we won. I played week one Oras that time versus Professor Chipboard, and I ended up losing in a pretty good game, but I figured that other tiers were overall just better for me. Things like Ultra Sun and Moon, which I had a lot of experience with, and also Sword and Shield. So that's primarily what I played. However, with TDT only having Scarlet and Violet, Oras, and Advance, I felt that Oras would be the tier that would be best suited to me, since I've had a lot of experience watching it. I prepped and made mocks for it a lot when it came to team tours in past DPL seasons, so I felt pretty good. But anyways, let's look at this week one matchup. So week one, right, we have a team of Torn, T, Rotom Wash, Crook, Rose Raid, Empoleon, Gramble, Volby, and Mega Gallade. And we're facing our opponent Max, who has a team of Garchomp, Zapdos, Scizor, Slowbro, Mega T-Tar, Quilladin, Azelf, and Magmar. So when looking at this matchup, my first assessment was Garchomp is definitely a threat. All right, I have two ground immunities. However, my fairy type is a Gramble, and my steel type is an Empoleon. So Garchomp is very, very threatening to switch into. I also noticed that he had a good counter to Torrentine, my best mon, in Zapdos, and he also had a great counter to my second best mon, being Mega Gallade. So that was already looking a little bit rough. However, mons like my two waters, being Rotom Wash and Empoleon, looked pretty good. He only had one real water resist, being Slowbro, and offensively the two of them can really do a lot of work. Plus, Rotom Wash is very, very valuable for checking things like Scizor, things like Slowbro. So, overall, not too bad of a first matchup. It looked pretty even, and I know we ended up making some good prep for it. So, in terms of my prep, so the idea behind this was I brought a Torn T with Wakamberry, more defensive spread with Icy Wind, U-Turn, Toxic Taunt. The idea behind this was I wanted to have a good lead that could answer to Garchomp lead and not be on the back foot, which is why we're packing Icy Wind and a little bit more of a defensive spread. It will take like Stone Edges and things like that. And I wanted to make sure that if he led Zapdos, I wasn't on the back foot too much. And so that's why we're carrying Wakamberry. It allows us to always live Thunderbolt from Zapdos. And I knew in a lot of situations he's going to have to use Zapdos to be a switch-in. So I wanted to run Toxic to cripple it and Taunt to keep it low in case I get some Toxic or Icy Wind chip on it. This would allow things like my Scarf Crook over here to be opened up a lot, and also for it to be in range of Agility and Polion. Next up, we brought Rotom Wash, defensive Rotom Wash, kind of a standard set. This is mainly going to be my switch into Scizor, who is a big threat. Running enough speed for Adamant Scizor, and then Foul Play to handle an SD set. Next up, we brought Empo with an Air Balloon. Agility, 3 attacks. This Mon looked very, very solid in terms of being a win con for this team. Like I said, his water resists were pretty bad, being just Slowbro and Quilladin, and Quilladin was most definitely not going to be coming to this matchup, so I knew it was going to be Slowbro, and Slowbro already has to check Gallade and kind of be used as a main response to that, so I knew that would allow for Agility Empo to look very, very strong. Yeah, just running Hydro, Ice Beam, Grass Knot hits pretty much everything on his team. Next up, we're bringing Gallade. This is kind of a standard set, bulky-ish. Running Swords Dance with Drain Punch, Stone Edge, Leaf Blade. Stone Edge for the Zapdos, Leaf Blade for the Slowbro. One of the things about Gallade, just in ORAS, that I definitely knew of, but it wasn't really until I started using it that I really felt the effects of it, is that because of the non-transferable speed boost in ORAS, where you don't get into the turn after you Mega, Gallade is kind of forced to run more bulky sets than fast sets, just because when you Mega, you got to be able to take that hit to set up, right? You're not going to get that speed until after. So I found myself in a lot of time this season running more bulky sets than the standard offensive sets that you may see in something like Gen 7. But anyways, next up, like I said, we're bringing Scarf Crook. This was meant to be a response to the likes of DDT-Tar, outspeeding that, hitting it with a strong Earthquake, and also being able to outspeed Azelf and Pursuit Trap it. This is also our main Stealth Rocker as well. Wasn't able to fit Stealth Rocks on Empoleon, so I felt Stealth Rocks on Crook would be the best option. And yeah, this mod is mainly just to kind of stop some of his scary threats from sweeping me. And then we brought Roserade with Pyappa. This was meant to lure the Azelf. I knew that potentially trying to take advantage of my spike setting, that he would want to maybe go Azelf and fire off attacks. So Pyappa allows me to live any sort of hit from Azelf and kill it back with Leaf Storm. HP Fire for the Scizor, and then Spikes just looked very, very solid against his team in general, hitting pretty much everything besides Zapdos and Azelf. So yeah, that's going to be the team. Let's look at our week 1. So Max ended up bringing pretty much all the mons I expected. Yeah, so our idea was leading Torn, which ended up being a good lead here because he ends up leading Scizor. And knowing that he's going to swap directly into Zapdos fearing a Heat Wave, I went straight for the Toxic. And this is already good. I got the Zapdos on a timer. I knew that I can definitely 1v1 it with the Icy Wind and keep it low with Taunt because I have the Wakamberry. But he ends up going straight out into Garchomp, and this is really, really solid for me, right? I've gotten 50% chip on Garchomp, plus it's forced to swap next turn too because it's just going to die to Icy Wind again. So my Torn T is already doing a lot off of lead, which is really, really solid. I get off another Icy Wind on Zapdos, get that with the Toxic chip, and I'm like, okay, I can just keep 1v1ing this Zapdos, keep it low. I already got kind of neutralized the Garchomp a little bit, so this is looking really, really solid for me. Now I ended up swapping out because I figured that I can maybe save my health on Torn to be used for anything else on his team, and obviously he's going to just be clicking an electric move versus Torn, so I can go out to my Roserade. But unfortunately he goes for the T-Ball and gets a Para, and this is really unfortunate because I'm not Natural Cure, and this Para means that when he brings out his Scizor, he now outspeeds me and is not forced to go for BP to kill me. So a little bit unfortunate there. He goes for the U-turn on my Wash switching and gets back in his Garchomp, and I'm like, okay, well, I can bring in my Torrentee. I know I'll live any hit, and he reveals to be Special Life Orb. I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense, you know. I prepped heavily for a physical Garchomp, and so that Special Life Orb is definitely doing a lot of damage. But it's fine because I've gotten up a Spike. I'm getting a lot of chip on his team. He reveals to be Defog Scizor over Zapdos, which I think is also okay too. It makes it so that SD Scizor is not as much of a threat. I end up killing the Garchomp with a Hydro Pump. He really has no good switch-ins to Rotom Wash. And I knew that he probably was going to go for a Psychic or a Energy Ball, and I didn't really need Torn, so I used Torn as my pivot, my initial pivot in the Azelf, which works out for me. He actually stays in on a U-turn as I then go out to my Crook. My intention was to possibly Pursuit Trap it, but when I took the Dazzling Gleam right here, I got a little bit nervous that he was Cobra Berry, and so I went for the knockoff rather than the Pursuit, and I think that was a little bit of a misplay on my part, just because I knew from the damage that he most definitely wasn't going to be, He most definitely wasn't going to be Cobra, because he did way too much with Dazzle. So definitely should have clicked Pursuit, because I would have been able to have eliminated that Azelf right there. But it's fine. I just go right out to my Roserade as he goes out, doubles out in the Scizor and goes for the U-turn. I think I just end up staying in here and going for the Spike, because I want to keep it up to get some chip on his Mons. And he ends up killing my Roserade with Heat Wave. So I use this opportunity to get in my Gallade and try and go for some setup to do some breaking. He ends up staying in with Zapdos, which I was pretty surprised about. I thought he would want to save it. He then follows up with swapping out into Slowbro on my Stone Edge, and I do end up missing, but that's alright. Go right out to my Rotom, take the Thunder Wave really, really well, and I mean, Rotom is just free here, right? This is free Volt Switch. He has no more ground type left, so Rotom is looking like easily one of my best mons right here. And this is all really just setting up for an Empo win game, end game, right? Empo win. It's looking really, really strong. All I really need is to get some good chip on this Slowbro so that I can kill it with Signal Beam and not end up taking a Thunder Wave, right? Other than that, this Empo is looking really, really primed to win. So Volt Switch out on the Slowbro is kind of just staying in here, slacking off, being a nuisance. But I know my Torrent can 1v1, so I just go right for the taunt. Goes out to Zapdos. I'm like, okay, well, I can just end up taking this mon out with Ice Wind. I'll eat the electric move because of Wukan. And yeah, Zapdos ends up falling to the Torrent. So this is really, really good for me. That's a mon, you know, basically practically eliminated. And so my Torrent is just really just able to 1v1. I wanted to make sure that he didn't defog with the Scizor, so I went for the taunt rather than saving my Torn, and he ends up going for the U-turn and taking me out with the Sandstorm chip with T-Tar. But this is kind of cool because I end up getting the chip I need on T-Tar with the spike damage. Go to my Gallade, click Drain Punch, and yeah, this is where having Pursuit Trap the Azelf would have really helped, just because I wouldn't have to have worried about this Azelf at all here. I decided to stay in because I knew I'd eat a Dazzle, but he gets another unfortunate pair with T-Bolt, and this makes it so that he's able to this makes it so that he's now able to outspeed my Gallade, which is really, really unfortunate. Plus, he's able to rely on para chances here when he's trying to 1v1 my Gallade. Otherwise, he would be forced to stay low enough so where Empo would be able to take him out with Signal Beam. So this is another unfortunate para, but it is what it is. I end up just clicking Leaf Blade until I end up getting parried, and I use the opportunity to go right out in the Rotom, and he gets a unfortunate Skull Burn. but it's all right. Like I said, my main goal is to just keep this Mon at around 50% so that when I bring in my Empoleon, I can straight up take him out with Signal Beam. That's my main idea behind this. And yeah, so I end up losing my wash and everything, trying to 1v1 this Slowbro. And now I just use the opportunity to go out to Crook, quick knockoff to get him low. And I know right here, he's basically forced to take out my Slowbro at some point, right? Like he he can't do anything else. He can't switch in another Mon, right? So this is fine for me. I get off my knockoff chip as he takes me out with Scald. And now, like I said, this is what we needed. We needed to get Slowbro down with another move to get him in range of Grass Knot. My bad. I've been saying Signal Beam. And he decides to go to Azelf here and click T-Bolt. So I was actually surprised by this play because I definitely could have been Weakness Policy. Oh, my bad. I'm Air Balloon. I revealed to not be Weakness Policy. This was, I know, a misplay on his part just because I know that Max noted later on that he definitely should have gone for the Energy Ball and then gone for the T-Bolt because he ends up putting me directly in range of Torrent. And this will allow my Empo to guaranteed knock him out with the Hydro Pump on Mega T-Tar. I know without Torrent, I think it was a roll to kill T-Tar depending on his spread. But with me being in Torrent, it's guaranteed. I also get a crit there too. But with that, we're able to take week 1 with a narrow victory. Agility and Empoleon coming through. And I know just for the awards, I'm pretty sure this was nominated as Match of the Season. I don't really know why exactly, because I don't know if there's other games better than this or not. I mean, this is a good game, though. It was pretty back and forth. But yeah, that concludes our week 1. Already a strong performance coming from this team. By the way, too, this team is based off of our DPL team from the wing season that we won, season 6 of DPL, where we had a Torn T team with a Levitator and a Fighting Mega of Metacham. And I kind of took that team that we had because it did so well. I think it went like 5-1. I took that team and tried to recreate it in this TDT season because I knew it functioned so well. And this was the result we ended up with. Just as some background into the drafts that I was using. But yeah, that is week 1. Let's go into our next week right here, right? This second week, we are facing JCM Shadow. Now, anybody who knows the history between me and Shadow knows that Shadow almost never beats me, right? I'm pretty sure my record against him is like 7-1 or something like that. I always beat Shadow. And I knew this time was going to be no different. However, right, this is a little bit different because Shadow has a whole team helping him. He has a whole team prepping with him. And so because of that, I need to be a little bit more cautious. As well as the fact that I know Shadow is a very creative builder. And with him and Mew, I knew there was going to be a lot of potentially sets I need to worry about. A lot of options. But overall, this matchup looked pretty solid for me, right? We're rocking with the same team that we used last week. And Shadow is pulling up with Mew, Greninja, Infernape, Togekiss, Mega Garchomp, Roselia, Bronzong, and Manectric. The first thing I noted about this matchup was the fact that his Torn T switch-ins are really, really bad. They just suck. They're trash. Look at it, right? He has a Bronzong that serves as one of his flying switch-ins. However, Torn T can easily just click U-turn, and I can go out to my Crook and Pursuit Trap him. So that's not really a reliable answer right there. And his only other flying switch-in is a Manectric. And what does Manectric do? Absolutely nothing. So yeah, I knew just off rip that my Torn T would be very, very solid this game. Also knew too that my Mega Gallade is really, really threatening to him, right? He doesn't have a Mon that can really OHKO me outright. And he's almost forced to bring some type of Mew, like a defensive Mew, to handle my Mega Gallade because it's just that much of a threat. Another thing that I noted too was that Greninja outspeeds my entire team, which is really annoying. Makes it revenge killing it very, very difficult. It's also a case of too that my only Dark Pulse switch-ins are Crook, which is weak to Gren's other stab, and a Granbull, which is not really that viable here. So yeah, those are some things to know. Anyways, let's get into the prep that we ended up bringing. So the first mon that we ended up bringing was Choice Scarf Torn. So I brought Choice Scarf Torn because I noticed in mocks I was really struggling to revenge an offensive Greninja versus my team. Specifically a Choice Specs Greninja was really hard for me to revenge in the end game. And with Torn having very little switches to begin with, I felt my best option was bringing an offensive Torn with flying stabs that can kill a Greninja late game, outspeed it and kill it. Also to outspeed a Choice Scarf Infernape, which was another mon that was really putting in the work end game wise versus me. So Choice Scarf Torn looks really solid. Just dual stab and Hurricane Air Slash. Toxic, so that in case I need to cripple the Mew where it's being annoying, I have that option of doing so. Next up, we're bringing a Roserade lead. This is meant to be my lead here. I really noticed that Roserade is not viable any other time if it's not a lead. So lead Roserade, HP Ice for any Garchomp lead. And then we're really focusing on T-Spikes, okay? Looking at Shadow's team, his poison type is a Roselia, which is not viable here in the slightest to me. So, and T-Spikes hit about 4 of his mons. So I really wanted to make sure I had up T-Spikes to do, especially cripple a defensive Mew. And T-Spikes is really solid. So lead Roserade there. Next up, we're bringing a sort of Spadef offensive Empoleon with the Custap Berry, Scald, Signal Beam, Defog, Rocks. This is meant to remove any sort of spikes from Gren or Roselia. We're also getting up my Rocks this game. Rocks are very viable for Togekiss. And the idea behind this was I can use this Empoleon to switch into Choice Specs Greninja. I can take a Dark Pulse, take a second Dark Pulse as I go for a Rocks. And then the Custap Berry will allow me to then outspeed on the following turn as I'm about to be killed by another Dark Pulse and go for a Signal Beam to get off huge chip so that my Torn can then guaranteed revenge kill it. So that was the idea behind the Custap Berry. But yeah, just a pretty solid offensive soft check to Greninja that I really liked. Next is Assault Vest Crook. This is mainly my Mew answer. It's pretty nice. Assault Vest allows me to eat Dazzling Gleam from Togekiss. Just as a sort of standard set. Stone Edge for Togekiss, Pursuit to trap Mew or Manectric or Bronzong. Also too, I knew that Assault Vest plus Pursuit was nice. In the case he brought Roserade, I knew that I could definitely use Crook to hard into Roserade, click Knockoff, and then click Pursuit to Pursuit trap him so that I can get up T-Spikes with Rose later on. That was an idea behind that. Next up is a standard Spadef Wash. This is mainly here to check the Mega Garchomp. That's just why we're carrying HP Ice. Also here to check the Togekiss as well. Pretty standard, but look very solid in this matchup. And then last is a Gallade, Mega Gallade with Drain Punch, Ice Punch, X Scissor, and Taunt. The idea behind this was I wanted to try and have a Gallade that 1v1'd Mew, made it a little bit easier for Torn to win the endgame. So that's the idea behind Taunt and X Scissor. Otherwise, Mega Gallade is really hard for him to kill outright and just a great offensive presence. Alright, so let's take a look at this week 2 game. So, as you can see, let's switch sides right here. Shadow did end up bringing the Roselia, and I'm like, what? What is Roselia doing here, bro? I was like, this guy must have really feared T-Spikes if he was bringing Roselia. But the great thing about this is, look at his flying resist. It's literally non-existent. So I was like, okay, Torn T is going to go absolutely crazy here. But yeah, this does not deter what we're going to be doing on lead. So we end up leading our Roserade as he leads Mew. And I go straight for the Sleep Powder. The great thing about Sleep Powder that I didn't even realize is that Synchronize only works for burn, paralysis, and poison, not sleep. so I can sleep powder him for free, which ends up being the case. I end up being faster than his Mew, which is great for me. I just go right for the T-Spike because I know even though with him having Roselia, he's going to be forced to go out to Roselia to absorb this. So I go right up to my Crook as he ends up waking up with Mew, goes for the Ice Beam. I'm like, okay, that hurts, but I know I can take two more of them, and I just go right for the knockoff. He ends up revealing to be Weakness Policy, and I'm like, all right, that's fine. Even though this Mew takes out my Crook, he now no longer has a good Gallade switching. So I go out to Torn, click U-turn, and he takes a bajillion for reveals to not be Eviolite whatsoever. Unfortunately, I get poisoned, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But I'm like, all right, well, this is fine. My Torn is really opened up right now. He decides to stay in and go for Sludge Bomb, and he reveals to be Choice Scarf. So I don't know what Shadow was cooking here. I don't know what Choice Scarf Rose is supposed to be doing. However, I don't know. He got off about 50% chip on me, so it is what it is. All I know is the moment I get up T-Spike again, it's going to be staying here. So yeah, ends up going to Gren. I go right out to my Soft Check and Empoleon, eat the Dark Pulse. He goes for another Dark Pulse, which is definitely what I was predicting him to go for. And I end up swapping out right here. I can't remember exactly why I didn't commit to the Signal Beam right here, but I think it was because I knew that my Wash can eat any Dark Pulse hit, and I can click Pain Split later on. I end up going for the Vultures as he goes right out into Garchomp, and I knew that Shadow's going to want to prioritize getting up his Stealth Rocks here, so I kind of just stay in to get off some good chip on Garchomp, get him in range of Torn, get off HP Ice damage, go for HP Ice again as he goes for Rocks and takes out the Garchomp. So this is really good, looking really good for me. The only Mon he has right now that can eat a Torn hit is this Togekiss, which I have Rocks up for. So I end up stacking my Roserade to this Choice Scarf from Fernape right here. But it's all good. This gives me the opportunity to go out to my Gallade, click Mega, and just click Drain Punch right here, take him out. And my Gallade looks primed right here, like he has no switching. The great thing about Inner Focus, which almost never comes into play for Gallade here, but the great thing about Inner Focus right here is that even if he reveals to be a Choice Scarf Togekiss, with Air Slash he can't flinch down my Gallade, which is really great. And so I end up going for Ice Punch, get a crit, takes out Togekiss, which is kind of unfortunate, but it didn't really matter. He goes for Grand, goes for U-turn, but at this point it's pretty much over. My Gallade has, done its job. It's taking out the rest of his team. So that ends up being a week 2 victory for us. Kind of a straightforward, simple game. The matchup did look pretty good for me, but yeah. It was nice though because I didn't end up revealing my Choice Scarf Torn set, which ends up being a factor later on down the line. But yeah, anyways, that's a week 2 dub. We are now 2-0, so looking really solid. But yeah, next up, week 3, right? Week 3, we are facing Rinnegan. Now, Rinnegan, we have played several times. I think we played like twice or so in team tours before this, but yeah, we always end up playing each other for some reason. But anyways, Rin has a team of Lando, T, Hydreigon, Mega Gallade, Heatran, Starmie, Granbull, Stunfisk, and Dusclops. His team is actually a little bit similar to mine, just in the structure of it. But yeah, this honestly looked like a pretty good matchup for me, not gonna lie. The first thing I noticed immediately is that I'm 100% bringing Granbull here for its debut. I need an answer to Mega Gallade, to his Mega Gallade, but at the same time he also has a good answer to my Mega Gallade and his Granbull. So another thing I noted too was that he really struggles to answer Torn. Stunfisk, yes, is a good option. However, Stunfisk also sucks versus about 4 of my Mons. Wash, Crook, Roserade, and Empoleon, so it's not really a great answer. And Heatran also really sucks versus me too. My entire team threatens it really hard, so it's not the greatest Mon here. I did note though that my Rotom Wash does get pressured by his Lando T plus Heatran Core, which is something though, plus Starmie too. Like Rotom Wash is definitely going to be stretched a little thin, and also too, I also noted that Hydreigon from him is a little bit threatening to switch into. But yeah, anyways, let's dive into our prep right here. So I ended up bringing an Assault Vest, Torn, Hurricane, Knockoff, Icy Wind, U-Turn. This was meant to be my primary switch into Hydreigon. It looked really nice because I knew Torn can eat any hit from Hydreigon, get off a U-Turn to get off some chip. If he goes for a Dark Pulse, that's fine because I can just get in another one of my mons. If he goes for a Draco, that means that once I U-turn out, any one of my other mons can eat a hit from it. So looked really solid. I think I had HP Ground on it for the longest time for Heatran, but I noted that running Icy Wind to hit Lando hard without having to rely on Hurricane was nice. Knockoff to just kind of cripple everything else. This is also serving as my Starmie switch in as well. Next up, bringing a Mega Gallade with Drain Punch, Poison Jab, Shadow Sneak, and Swords Dance. Now here with Mega Gallade, we're neglecting to hit the Landorus. However, I felt that carrying Shadow Sneak was nice because I wanted to have a way of picking off Starmie or Gallade if the time came to it. And I definitely needed Poison Jab to hit Granbull hard enough. Running Zen Headbutt to hit both Landorus and Granbull just wasn't going to cut it. And I figured that I can maybe get off some chip on Landorus another way. And also, I mean, Gallade wasn't really meant to win. So yeah, I just kind of preferred Shadow Sneak in that vein. But yeah. Next up, Granbull. Play Rough, Heal Bell, Rest, Sleep Talk. The idea behind this was this Granbull is really just meant to directly answer Mega Gallade, but it can also function as a switch into Landorus as well. I wanted Heal Bell because I knew there was a potential of being status by things like Scald Burn from Starmie or even Toxic from Heatran on some of my other mons. So I really liked Heal Bell to help support them. And Rest Sleep Talk to kind of have some longevity. This is also my main switch into his Granbull as well. Next up, we're bringing Rotom Wash, defensive set, physically defensive set, Hydro, Volt Switch, Thunder Wave, Pain Split. Thunder Wave is really just to have some way of crippling the Hydreigon. Thunder Waving it means that all my mons become way better versus it. Yeah, he really struggles to switch into Rotom Wash here. It's really the MVP of this matchup. So yeah, Rotom Wash is really solid. Next, we're bringing Choice Scarf Crook again with Stealth Rocks. This is going to be a trend just because I only have 2 rockers, and I definitely ended up preferring offensive Empoleon in a lot of these matchups. So Crook ends up being the rocker a lot of the time. But yeah, Choice Scarf Crook, superpower for the Hydreigon Foul Play to revenge Landorus better, SC Landorus, and knockoff for everything else. I just thought this was really nice to just revenge something like Choice Scarf Heatran, to outspeed and revenge Starmie, and then Foul Play really to destroy Landorus, set up Landorus and Gallade too. So yeah, I really like Choice Scarf Crook here. And then last but not least, we have offensive Empoleon with agility again, but this time we're rocking Papaya Berry and Substitute. So agility Empoleon is back. Look at Rin's team. He really has no great answer for this, right? Signal Beam hits Hydreigon and Starmie really hard, and Hydro, am I running Hydro or Surf? Surf hits everything else incredibly hard. The only mon that can really take a Surf is the Mega Gallade, but I knew with Granbull being able to get Rocky Helmet chip on it that I could definitely get chip on it that way. And also too, the sub Papaya Berry allows me to sub in front of Gallade if he's not in range already. Click sub again to get down in the Torrent plus the Papaya Berry range, and Torrent plus Papaya Berry should allow Surf to then kill Gallade. So that's what I really liked about it. I can possibly agility versus things like Hydreigon, Heatran, Starmie, Granbull, so it looked really nice. Yeah, so we ended up leaving Roserade, but yeah, this is going to be the team for Rin right here. Let's look at our game that we ended up having. So Rin ended up leaving the Stunfisk, which I kind of figured may happen. Like, I mean, Stunfisk didn't really look that great when Wash is already so threatening versus him, and I kind of knew he needed Granbull for my Gallade too. But yeah, so Rin ends up leading off with Starmie as I lead off with Rotom Wash, and this is really good for me, right? I mean, I can just click Volt Switch for free because it really has no switching other than Landorus. So I just go right for the Volt Switch on Hydreigon, get in my Torn, as this is my answer to it. I'm pretty sure I click, yeah, U-turn right here. And so right now I'm just getting up momentum, right? I go out to Crook because I figured he wasn't going to stay in when he has a good answer and, you know, things like Lando, Granbull, stuff like that, Hydreigon. And so I wanted to get the opportunity to get up rocks and really heighten my momentum core with Torn and Rotom Wash, but he ends up deciding to stay in and going for his own rocks, which is a little surprising to me, but it's all right. I go out to Torn, which is kind of a soft check to this. I wanted to get off a knockoff to get off any leftovers, as he goes for the Magma Storm, which is really annoying just because he's gonna get my Torn really low. Luckily we can get out of there with U-turn, but still pretty annoying. I just U-turn out into my Rotom Wash as he goes for the HP Grass, which is pretty cool, pretty nice tech. But here I just go right for the no, I go for T-Wave. Cripple this Hydreigon, really big. Makes it so that this Hydreigon is nowhere near as threatening right now. Also makes it so that my Gallade will outspeed him on that first turn Mega. So gets paralyzed, which is unfortunate for him, but I do go for the Volt Switch on his U-turn. He takes some Rocky Helmet Chip with his, which is nice. He goes out to Starmie, and I anticipated that he definitely is going to want to click Rapid Spin right here, which is all right. But he actually goes for the Psychic. I eat that up with Rotom Wash. He goes for the Rapid Spin that turn, as I miss my Hydro Pump, which is a little annoying, just because Hydro plus Volt would have definitely killed him. But I mean, here we see Volt Switch do 10 million, and he's also weakness policy on this. This is, by the way, this is what is it, the second time someone has brought a weakness policy Psychic versus me. I don't know what's going on right now, bro. Straight up. But I'm like, all right, this is cool. He's in range of Torn, and I can get some regen back by just clicking U-turn right here. So I click U-turn, bring his Hydreigon down low, and I'm like, all right, I can just use this opportunity to get in my Gallade. I can go right for the Poison Jab, knowing that he wants to go directly out into Granbull to check this. And this Poison Jab means that when I get back in Gallade the next time, when I click SD, that +1 Poison Jab is going to take him out. So that was the idea behind that. I get a nice poison too, which is really nice. But yeah, he goes right up to his Gallade as I stand and click another Poison Jab. Honestly, I figured that it was a little bit better for me to click Poison Jab versus the Granbull, because I didn't really want to bring in my own Granbull versus him since I was already taking some chip. And I realized that, you know, my Crook endgame and knockoff or foul play looks really solid. So if I can beat down his Granbull, this is looking really good for Gallade. But yeah, I get a nice poison on his Gallade too, which is, you know, fire. I go for SD on his Gallade swap out, and yeah, this Gallade ends up basically taking out a Mon and a half, which is really nice. He then goes up to Starmie too. I'm like, okay, bet I get to take this out with Shadow Sneak. Very happy I kept Shadow Sneak on this. And yeah, this is looking really solid. Now, of course, I can't touch this Landorus, so I just go right out to my Crook, get out the Intimidate. I knew if he was set up, I can retaliate with a foul play. Take a lot from Earthquake though. He goes out to Heatran. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, my foul play endgame looks very strong. I just sack off my Granbull because it's not needed anymore with his Gallade being so low right now. And I just use this opportunity to get in my Empo and click Agility, right? Like, I was going to get another better opportunity. So yeah, I just kind of go for it. He ends up going for the Magma Storm. I'm like, all right, that's fine. He's just going to get me down into Pataya plus Torrent range. So that's cool. Which the Magma Storm ends up doing. Gives me Pataya, gives me Torrent, and I'm like, all right, at this point, you know, my Empoleon is just gonna sweep. You know, like I'm out of range, fortunately, of Shadow Sneak from Gallade. So yeah, I just go fire off the Surf. Ends up going out to Gallade, click Shadow Sneak, does 19. I live, kill that, and yeah, Empo ends up taking this endgame, gets the forfeit, and yeah. And Polian proving again why it's honestly one of the best offensive threats in the ORAS metagame. I'm not even exaggerating either, too. Like, I noticed that people really don't have good water switch-ins. So, and Polian, as you're going to see in a lot of these games, is just going to go crazy with its offensive set. So, yeah, solid W right there. Now we are 3-0 going in the mids, which was pretty nice. I think at this point, my team was, I think going in the mids, my team was 1-2 record-wise, which I always like to be 2-1, as at least 2-1 going in the mids for my team's overall record. But I mean, it is what it is. Definitely still have a chance to make playoffs. Just need to kind of tighten it up post mids, but at least for my own individual record, we are 3-0, which is really, really solid. So post mids, I want to talk about mids a little bit right here, right? We had another ORAS team, which is the team that I'm going to be using right here. We had another ORAS team with that originally had Megalop with it. It was a Garchomp Megalop team, and in the entire first weeks, we did not bring that Megalop team once. So I knew going in the mids, I definitely wanted to change it up a lot, and so that's what we ended up using a lot of our transactions on, and this is the result. So also, this is the first time you all are seeing me using a new team as well, so this is going to be a pretty exciting matchup. So the team that we ended up changing and that I brought for this matchup was Garchomp, Zapdos, Mega Charizard X, Crobat, Metagross, Blastoise, Throh, and Volbeat. So the idea behind this draft right here is that I really liked Double Dragon Core of Garchomp, Mega Charizard X. Two very, very strong mons. Now you may think like, what's the point of having both of them? But Garchomp, of course, is going to be a reliable rocker for this team, but while also being an offensive threat. And Charizard is really a breaker, plus being a setup threat as well. The two don't really share any common weaknesses other than Dragon, so I thought it was really, really nice. And then we got a ton of removal support for this Charizard with Zapdos, Crobat, and Blastoise. Just a ton of options for removing. And I thought Metagross anchored this team really nice to serve as the Dragon resist, and also to serve as a fairy check for really the likes of Mega Gardevoir, which we are about to face. And really Throh is just there for a dark resist, and Volbeat was just chilling. But anyways, looking at Josh's team now, just talk about my opponent a little bit. Of course, Josh is well known in the community for being one of the ORAS GOATs. Josh usually plays ORAS in whatever team tour he's in, and usually does really well. This is one of the first times me and Josh have ever played against one another in a team tour environment. I know I've teamed with Josh a lot in the past. So yeah, I knew this was going to be a good one. Josh is, a great player and also a good friend of mine, so definitely looking forward to this matchup. Anyways, Josh has a team of Mega Gardevoir, Thundurus, Skarmory, Roserade, Terrakion, Seismitoad, Spiritomb, and Diglett. And so some of the notable things right here is Terrakion is a big threat, right? I have about 3 mons weak to rock types, and really my 2 mons that are able to take fighting moves are also weak to rock. So Terrakion is a huge threat to me offensively. Mega Gardevoir is pretty annoying too. Now I actually have a pretty decent team matching up in the Mega Gardevoir, but yeah, still very threatening with Shadow Balls and being able to hit Metagross hard. And then the Thundurus. The Thundurus is a threat because I only have one. Well, I have 2 electric answers. However, Thundurus of course pressures Crobat and Stoise really well, and he also can pack something like HP Dragon to hit both Charizard and Garchomp, and T-Wave is just a little bit annoying for setup Charizard as well. Other than that, I mean, he has a Skarmory and Seismitoad. I figured that he wasn't going to bring Roserade because, I mean, look at my team, right? Grass types just do not fare well versus my team. I have about 3 great checks and really good ways of removing spikes. So I kind of figured Roserade wasn't going to come. Instead, it was going to be Spiritomb. Maybe some type of Calm Mind set looked likely since it was going to be hard to break without Mega Charizard X. But yeah, I actually am really excited to cover this match because I feel like I brought a really cool team that really came together through a lot of testing. Um, just as an aside, this is your MVP speaking right now. This is your MVP speaking in terms of this. So, um, really testing, people do not realize how great mocking is. I used to be a person who did not mock ever. However, uh, like I remember my first season of DPL, when I joined mid-season on ZFG, I did not do any mocks for any of those games. I went 3-1, by the way, which is not. Did I go 3-1 or 2-1? I think I went 3-1, which is honestly really cool, for my first debut. But anyways, mocking is so important, right? Because I would have never gotten this team that I got right here, that I ended up bringing, without the influence of mocking. So for any of my players out here really want to get better in team tours, just make sure you put in that grind and that effort to really work on your team throughout the week, and hopefully you have some dependable teammates as well who can provide mocks. But it's just so important to seeing a lot of different variations. It's really the key to success. But anyways, we're bringing a pretty cool team here, a more offensive team, might I add, as well, which I know I have a reputation of bringing some more, I guess, bulky builds, but this is a really offensive team that I really liked. But anyways, starting off with Mega Charizard X, Flare Blitz, Earthquake, Hidden Power Grass, Tailwind. Now this is going to be one of my main breakers here, right? Mega Charizard X has very little switch-ins to his team, and we're running Tailwind over something like Dragonus because I knew that Choice Scarf Terrakion was definitely a possibility, which can just revenge DD Charizard. So I like Tailwind because with Charizard forcing so many switch-ins, Tailwind may allow me to Tailwind on a Mon that I was going to kill, something like a Skarmory sack or a Gardevoir sack or something like that. Tailwind allows me to get up that Tailwind on that sack, then kill that Mon, and now I outspeed his Terrakion, so I can get off either big damage or a kill off on it, which is really, really nice. HP Grass for the Seismitoad, and Earthquake for the Terrakion, and Flare Blitz is hitting everything else. Next up, we're bringing Charty Berry Zapdos, Volt Switch, Extrasensory, Defog Roost. This is really meant to have a way to remove something like Roserade or Skarmory Spikes. Didn't want those being a factor, especially with the blasters that I ended up bringing. So defog for that. And this is also serving as a way of switching into Thundurus too. Zapdos with this mixed spread right here, mixed defensive spread, can easily eat a Thunderbolt from Thundurus, which is nice. And Charty Berry allows me to eat a Stone Edge from Terrakion, and fire back off with a Extrasensory. If he does make the over prediction of clicking CC on a Choice Scarf set, anticipating something like my Garchomp coming in, that Spadef drop with the Extrasensory will do massive amounts of damage, possibly KOing the Terrakion. So yeah. Next is a Choice Band Metagross. Now, I really like this set here. I thought this was really cool to bring. One sec. I thought Choice Band Metagross looked really cool. Now, he does have 3 steel resist, so you may be like, why are you bringing Choice Band Metagross? But I found in testing, right, that really Metagross doesn't come in until the very last point of this game. And in that, most of the time what ends up happening is not only does his Seismitoad end up getting taken out by Mega Charizard X, his Skarmory ends up getting chipped or taken out by Garchomp or Crobat, but also his Thundurus, being one of the last pillars against a steel move, ends up usually taken out or taking severe chip from rocks. So I realized Choice Band Metagross, what it can do in an endgame is clean up a Mega Gardevoir or Choice Scarf Terrakion sitting in the back, as well as the fact that if Seismitoad is removed from the game via Charizard X, he really has no good Thunder Punch switching. So it's really, really nice in that way. I can eat a hit from Mega Gardevoir as well. And Choice Band Metagross also allows me to have a strong Mon to kill Spiritomb, CM Spiritomb, if I end up losing my Charizard X. So really like Choice Band Metagross here. It's definitely not a sec that I thought that Josh would expect, but it really functioned really well through testing, so I liked it that in that way. Next up is a lead Assault Vest Blastoise right here, and this was intended to be my lead because I noticed that Stoise wasn't really going to be valuable in any other way here, and really Assault Vest Stoise is kind of hard for him to kill outright. He really only has Thundurus, and with my Stoise being Assault Vest, I can get off huge damage versus him with Ice Beam, and this would put him to be in range later on with rocks, to be in range of Bullet Punch from Metagross. Otherwise, I can stay in versus Gardevoir, get off a Scald, get off really 2 Scalds, as I can eat 2 Hyper Voices, and also get off some good chip on Seismitoad if he led that and tries to get up rocks with HP Grass. But yeah, Stoise look really nice as a kind of anti-lead mon that can deter his hazards from going up and affecting Charizard X, because I beat both of his main hazard setters in Skarm and Toad. So yeah, I really like Assault Vest Blastoise as a lead here. Next is Yachi Garchomp with Earthquake, Rock Tomb, Fire Blast, Stealth Rock. This is really my main Stealth Rocker here, which is really vital, and also being a way that I can check Thundurus as well. I can come in on an electric move and also eat a HP Ice from him. Fire Blast to cook that Skarmory right there. Also, these are some beautiful EV spreads right here, right? Like, other than the Charizard, of course, but these are some clean EV spreads. Either way, Rock Tomb, because I didn't want to miss a Rock move versus the Thundurus in a crucial turn of needing to get it in range of my Crobat here. So I really wanted to make sure I had some way of guaranteeing getting off some good damage versus it. So I ran Rock Tomb because I can just Rock Tomb and then Rock Tomb again because I then outspeed. So yeah, and then Crobat here is Lumberry with Brave Bird, Toxic, Taunt, Roost. Running Lumberry because it functioned as a good way to absorb any sort of status from Roserade, which I liked. Also, Lumberry makes it so that if I try to revenge his Thundurus with Brave Bird, if he's in range, I don't end up getting T-Wave parried on the last turn that I'm about to kill him. So and then, you know, Toxic Taunt allowing me to kind of 1v1 a Spiritomb, and then Brave Bird just really hitting everything. I mean, Brave Bird plus Taunt can kind of 1v1 the Skarmory, so looked very, very nice in that regard. But yeah, in terms of the match, so as you can see, Josh ended up bringing the Spiritomb over the Roserade, which I did anticipate. And so we're just gonna lead off with our Blastoise right here. This is fine. He leads off with Spiritomb, and I just go for the Scald as he reveals to be Trick, and tricks me a Choice Band and takes my Assault Vest. Now, this isn't the worst thing in the world, right? Just because him taking my Assault Vest means that he can't get any sort of recovery with Spiritomb, and also Choice Band Spiritomb was definitely threatening to switch into, so kind of works out for me, honestly. I anticipated him to go right out into Seismitoad on another Scald since I would be choice locked into it, so I go for the HP Grass right here. It goes out the Thundurus. I'm like, all right, cool. I got up some you know, a little bit of chip with the HP Grass, but yeah, I just go right out to my Zapdos because I knew I can take 2 Thunderbolts as he goes for the Volt Switch, which is cool. I knew that with the Charty Berry I can eat a Terrakion hit if he went to it. He goes at the Gardevoir, clicks Mega, goes for the Hyper Voice, and look at my Expert EVs right here, right? 1%. Shout out to Zapdos, bro. Expert EVs, man. I go for the Volt Switch right here, get a crit. A little bit unfortunate for him, and I use this opportunity to go to my Charizard right here. And this is looking nice, right? Like, I can just click Mega, go for the Flare Blitz, get off some good damage on Seismitoad, and this is all opening up my end game of Metagross, because even if his Mons can eat a Bullet Punch right now, taking out this Seismitoad means that he cannot switch in the Thunder Punch well. So just go for the Flare Blitz. I then proceed to go for the HP Grass, get up some huge chip on Seismitoad as he goes for the Earth Power. Doesn't take me out, of course, because Charizard is really bulky. Go for another Flare Blitz, take out his Seismitoad. So really, really nice there. Now Thunder Punch is free. I sack my Charizard to the Thundurus, and then I use this opportunity to go to Garchomp, and I make an aggressive play and go for Rocks. Now, I kind of figured that he wasn't going to stay in on a full health Garchomp that just came in on him, So I used this opportunity to get up my rocks because it didn't look like I was going to get the opportunity to get him up later on. So this is really nice. Now I'm getting my good chip on Thundurus to get him in range of Metagross. Goes out to the Skarmory, and I'm like, okay, I can just use this opportunity to go out to Zapdos, right? Either he's going to get up a Hazard, or he's going to take out my Skarmory, and I can reset with another one of my Mons. So, yeah, I go for the Volt Switch on his rocks, and go out to the Stoys right here. Clicks Toxic on my Stoys. I'm like, okay, I can just spam Scald. He has no Scald switching right now. Goes for the Roost. I end up getting a burn and then swapping out of my Stoys. And I go right to my Crobat because I knew with the burn chip and taunt I can easily 1v1 his Skarmory. And he really has no switch into Brave Bird, right? Like he has none. So I think I end up firing off a no, I think I go for the Roost right here, right? Yeah, I go for the Roost. And I mean, this is cool, right? Like he's no longer choice banned, and this is really my main response to Spiritomb anyway. So I just go for the Toxic so that I can easily 1v1 his Spiritomb by spamming Roost. I knew like he couldn't do anything else to me, and so I just click Roost right here, force him out. He goes out to Thundurus, takes a Rock Chip that I need. I just sack off my Zapdos right here. Not really useful anymore at 1%. And I go right to my Garchomp, and I just go for the Rock Tomb right here. I have no reason to click anything else. It goes for the HP Ice, eat that up with my Yachi. And now, as you can see, this Thundurus is now in range of my Metagross. Well, actually, no, he's in range of rocks too. So yeah, and he ends up making this even better because he goes out to Skarmory, which I am packing the Fire Blast for, but he reveals to be Akka, which is pretty clean tech of his. I'm sure this is for Charizard primarily, but I just fire off Fire Blast. Fire Blast plus Will-O-Wisp will easily be able to 1v1 this Skarmory, and yeah, ends up falling. He then goes out to Terrakion. I'm like, okay, cool. I can just sack my Blastoise. It's not really needed for anything now. Save my Garchomp for in case of a Stone Edge endgame, and now I can just go out to my Metagross. And I mean, Bullet Punch is free, right? Bullet Punch is free. He has no switching. Goes out to Spiritomb. I'm just need a little bit more chip on this to get it in range of Metagross Bullet Punch. So I just sack off my Garchomp, knowing that he's going to click a physical attack, get off that Rough Skin chip. And yeah, now I can just go right back out into my Metagross and go for the BP Bop, take that out. And yeah, his last two mons are here, are both weak to Metagross BP. So I played a little bit safe. I just go out to my Crobat here because I knew he's going to have to click most likely close combat. And at this point, Terrakion could live a Bullet Punch from me. So yeah, he goes for the Stone Edge though, and takes out my Crobat, which is fine. That just means that he's going to come in, take some extra Rock Chip, and guaranteed be in range of Choice Banded BP. So yeah, I end up taking the game with Metagross right here. That's sort of my approach that I've been taking these ORAS games so far, is having some sort of win con that can clean up after the rest of my mons have done the damage. So definitely my approach here, and having also a really good dedicated lead that can match up well versus all of his potential leads is what I've really been emphasizing here. So week 5, right? By the way, we are now 4-0, but week 5 we are facing Vest. Now it was funny, once I beat Josh, I received a DM from Vest. He was like, bro, play me, bro. I'm like, all right, fine. You know, Vest is known to be one of the better ORAS players, maybe, you know, considered one of the top ORAS players, honestly. And I knew, you know, if I want to keep going on my winning streak in ORAS, I was going to have to get through a good player in Vest, bro. So yeah, we are facing Vest right here. Now, I actually did predict Vest to bring this exact team, bro. So that is why I brought this team that I brought, this Garchomp Mega Charizard X team again. Now look at his team, right? Vest has no Fairy. So look at my Dragons. They are absolutely going to cook. As well as the fact that Vest has a Mega Scizor and Serp, which both look completely unviable versus my team here. Like, Mega Scizor looks like one of the worst mons of all time. Other than it checking Metagross, Mega Scizor does absolutely nothing to Zapdos plus Mega Charizard X, and as well as the fact that Crobat and Stoys can both 1v1 Scizor pretty easily as well, and Garchomp can pack Fire Move and also take it out. Now, Rhyperior was a little bit annoying because it can check Mega Charizard X pretty well, and also Scrafty as well can be a little bit annoying as well. because it's Dark Stab and DD can be a threat. But yeah, realistically though, this was a good matchup for me. I mean, he has an Azelf, which I don't only have one switch into psychic moves, being Metagross, which Azelf can pack Fire Blast to hit me. But other than that, I mean, like, this is a good matchup. Like, nothing else to it. Like, this is a good matchup. Penga Charizard X is really threatening for him. Garchomp is annoying for him as well. Crobat, just really, really solid. So yeah, the team that I brought. So we brought Mega Charizard X, pretty bulky spread, Adamant, Outrage, Will-O-Wisp, Dragonance, and Roost. So the idea behind this was, with him having no Fairy, Outrage is free. Outrage is also giving me the max damage possible I can get versus Rhyperior, and I knew that I can easily get up a Dragonance versus the likes of Serperior or Scizor. So I get a Dragonance up. If he goes Rhyperior, I can proceed to click Will-O-Wisp and burn him. And what that will allow me to do is the burn chip will put him in range of +1 Outrage, while also allowing me to eat an Earthquake in return. This is the best way I found possible for me to 1v1 the Rhyperior, while also getting the chance to possibly sweep him with Charizard. So really like this set for me. Pretty clean set. Next up is Crobat, Brave Bird, U-turn, Taunt, Roost. This is mainly functioning as my Serperior check, because I can come in on a Glare with Glum. And then nice thing too is, if I take that Glare and my Lumberry is removed, now that makes it so that I can easily 1v1 Scrafty too, because Brave Bird plus Taunt is going to do a massive amount of work to Scrafty, and I will take less damage from knockoff. So pretty clean. U-turn there to just get up momentum versus Rotom Wash. Next is Defensive Blastoise. This is serving as my Rhyperior check. I need to switch into Rhyperior and also to Rock Polish Rhyperior, so this Defensive Stoise is functioning as that. Scald, Aqua Jet, Rapid Spin, Protect. Just get more lefties chip, Rapid Spin to remove any hazards. And I was packing Aqua Jet just because I figured it might be nice to have a way to pick off Victini, or like a I don't know, like a setup Rhyperior or anything like that. Didn't really need anything else. This Metagross right here, Aqua Berry, Meteor Mash, Explosion, Protect, Stealth Rocks is serving as my main lead here. I knew that early game Rocks is going to be really valuable, right? He has a team that's pretty weak to Rocks in general, and also having Rocks chip on this Victini and Wash and Rhyperior really opens up my Garchomp and Mega Charizard X. So I wanted early game Rocks, and I also wanted a way to prevent him from defogging with his Mega Scizor, so that's why I'm packing Explosion. So this is really just meant to guarantee get up Rocks early, and then start applying immediate pressure with my other mons. That was the idea behind this team. And Explosion getting me good chip. So the sequencing that I noticed was I can lead Metagross, get up Rocks versus a Scizor lead or any other lead really. If he goes out to Scizor to try and remove, I can explode on him and then get in my Mega Charizard X, Dragonance as he goes Rhyperior, Will-O-Wisp, and then basically proceed to take out Rhyperior and possibly sweep with Mega Charizard X. So that was a sequencing I noticed a lot from Mox, and it ended up working really well for me. Next is Assault Vest Garchomp. Pretty clean set right here. The idea behind the Assault Vest was it will allow me to eat any hit from Life Orb offensive Azelf. I can even take a Life Orb HP Ice, which is really clean. And also Assault Vest allows me to eat Glaciate from Victini too. It also serves as a way for me to eat Leaf Storms or Dragon Pulses from Serperior, and so I just really like the Assault Vest. Pretty rarely seen item on Garchomp, but it just looked really nice here. Earthquake, Dragon Claw, Outrage, Fire Fang. Yeah, a lot of times I found Garchomp pretty easily was able to clean up endgames from just living any hit from the possible mons revenging me. And then we're bringing Spadef Zapdos with T-Bolt, Heat Wave, Toxic Roost. This is mainly serving as my main answer to Azelf, also allowing me to eat any hit from Wash as well, and Toxic to get off some chip on setup Rhyperior too, and allow me to 1v1 Wash. So let's look at the game. So Vest ends up leaving the Mega Scizor, which honestly makes a lot of sense. Mega Scizor does absolutely nothing to me. So I mean, really, he brought the Superior, which also looks pretty dog versus me, but I mean, he had little options, so I mean, it makes sense. So we end up leading the Metagross as he leads Victini, and I'm like, all right, this is fine. I just go for the Protect because I wanted to scout to see if he had Final Gambit. If he ended up having Final Gambit, I was planning on, I think, sacking my I think I was gonna sack off maybe my Charizard X or something like that, or like my Zapdos or something. I don't know. But I wanted to protect the Scout on Final Gambit, so I just go for it as he goes for Blue Flare. I then go for the Rocks as he clicks Blue Flare again. All right, this is cool because you know, he has no removal on his team, so these Rocks are staying. And he ends up making an over prediction and goes for Psychic. I guess he anticipated me to swap out to Stoiz or Charizard X on his Blue Flare and goes for the Psychic, but I mean, that's perfect for me. I get a huge chip with Explosion, and just this Victini is dead. You know, with Rock's chip, like, this Victini is done. So yeah, I just go out to Crobat, click U-turn as he goes to Wash, and I go right out to my Charizard. I go hard for the Will-O-Wisp because I anticipated him to swap out Wash and save it and go out to Rhyperior, but he ends up clicking Volt, goes to Rhyperior anyways. I'm like, alright, this is cool. I can just go for Will-O-Wisp again because I can 1v1 this. Click Dragonite, click Roost, and all that. He goes for the Rocks himself. I'm like, alright, fine. I go, oh, I changed this. My bad. I got the wrong pace here. I changed this to SD. Because I realized that I preferred just breaking with Charizard anyways, rather than trying to win with DD. But anyways, I go for SD, and now with this burn chip, I'm able to take him out with Outrage, and I just clock him, bro. And what's nice about this Charizard that I brought is that it's so bulky, nothing on his team can revenge me, honestly. So he ends up going at the Azelfir. He ends up revealing to be Life Orb Psychic, and it still doesn't take me out. And now I just claim another Mon with Outrage. So this is looking very, very good for me. The only threat on his team at this point is the Scrafty. That's the only Mon I have to worry about. So I end up going to my Blastoise. I just go for the Scald here as he reveals to be Bulk Up. Now this is pretty interesting, right? Honestly, I was kind of regretting me not bringing Haze, but I figured my best course of action was just spamming Scald, trying to get a burn because he's probably Shed Skin. And it's fine because if I just go for Scalds and try and get the burn, eventually I can go out to my Crobat if he's like Rest Talk and click Taunt plus Brave Bird and get him low enough so that another Mon of mine can kill. But I end up just sort of 1v1ing his Scrafty right here. He doesn't end up getting the Shed Skin until pretty late, but overall I'm pretty fortunate with my Skull Burns, and he ends up getting me in Torrent too. So this Blastoise ends up 1v1ing his Scrafty, and really he has no more win con at this point. It's just Superior, which cannot win an endgame with Crobat plus Zapdos. It's not possible. I go for a U-turn right here because I figured he could be Koba with HP Rock, which he does reveal to be, and he does absolutely nothing to my Zapdos, bro. He does like such little damage, it's insane. But yeah, really, this is the end of the game right here. Victini dies to Rocks, and my Zapdos is able to 1v1 his Rotom. So I just go for T-Bolt and you know, clean up right here. So yeah, that is, what is that? Our 5th win, 5-0. Beat Vest, one of the ORAS GOATs, and we are cooking, absolutely cooking in TDT right now, man. Undefeated streak. This is really the best I've ever done in a team tour in terms of my own personal record, and in an initial you know, weeks. So this is really cool in a tier that I don't really play nonetheless. But yeah, next week 6 we're playing Professor Chipboard. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this is a this was the first time I played an ORAS player in DPL, and where I lost a chip, so kind of get some vengeance right here, right? Anyways, Chip is pulling up with a similar Mew team that we faced earlier. Mew, Grand, Mega Diancie, Donphan, Bronzong, Vileplume, Talonflame, Ampharos. Pretty much the same structure of it. You know, Mew plus Grand plus Bronzong plus Trash Electric is sort of the archetype. But yeah, essentially in this game, I realized again, Torn is pretty good offensively, right? Like Ampharos is probably not going to come, and otherwise I pack HP Steel plus U-turn and Torrent Cooks. Same deal with Gren. It's going to be a little bit hard to switch into, but my Empo can take it on. And then I really noted that Choice Scarf Crook looks really solid with Dark Stab because he only has Mega Diancie, which is not going to last forever, and same with Gren, which is also not going to last forever. So Choice Scarf Crook with Moxie can definitely clean up an endgame. But yeah, sort of the idea behind this. His main threats is really just Talonflame and Mew. Those are the main mons I was really worrying about, plus Gren. But yeah, the team we brought. So we brought Choice Scarf Crook, Knockoff Earthquake, Aquatail, Stealth Rock, another Stealth Rocking Choice Scarf Crook. Really, this is meant to just be a cleaner here, a revenge killer to his Choice Specs Greninja potential. Also revenging Diancie and Mew. Looked really solid here. I didn't really anticipate me getting up Rocks here just because he has a Donphan, which can easily just come in on Crook, but it was sort of just there for the Talonflame. Lumberry Torn with Hurricane, HP Steel, Knockoff Taunt. This is meant to sort of 1v1 the Bronzong with Knockoff Taunt and then HP Steel to revenge Mega Diancie and Hurricane for everything else. Lumberry so that if I end up knocking off the Ampharos, I don't get static parried. That was the idea behind that. Next is Empoleon with an Assault Vest with Surf, Ice Beam, Signal Beam, and Brine. So I thought this was a pretty cool set. This is really my main switch into the Gren because I can easily take I think I don't get 3-shot by Dark Pulse. I can also use this to switch into Mega Diancie too. And I'm packing Brine because if he ended up bringing a Spadef Ampharos to, because, you know, right, I've been running a lot of offensive Empoleons with agility, and this offensive Empoleon with agility looked strong here as well. So I figured if he brought a Spadef Ampharos to try and handle it, I can go for the Surf. If he takes Spike's Chip with a Surf, he could end up being in range of a Brine, which would be able to then take out the Ampharos and free up Torn a little bit. So that's why I like Brine. I didn't really need another move, so Brine was cool. Yeah. Next is Black Sludge Roserade. We're running some interesting IVs because we're no speed. This is so that we take the least amount of chip possible from Gyro from Bronzong, and then Spikes to get up Spikes and get some chip on him. Sleep Powder to cripple the Bronzong. AC Fire to also get some chip on Bronzong, and Giga Drain for everything else. And then Defensive Wash right here. This is mainly my Talonflame switch in. We're rocking Protect solely for the fact that Talonflame could be packing Natural Gift with Natural Gift Grass, and I wanted to scout that. So the cool thing about Protect is I can protect. If he clicked SD on my Wash switch in, I can click Protect to scout, and if I protect on the Natural Gift, it ends up using up the Natural Gift, so I wouldn't have to worry about Talonflame. So that's why I really like Protect on Wash. And then lastly is Gallade with Close Combat, Knockoff, Shadow Seek, and Toxic. This was mainly the Mon that I was using to take out the Mew. I knew a potential endgame Mew that was set up could be very, very threatening, and so really Gallade had no other function in this matchup with him having Talonflame plus Mega Diancie and Mew. So really I just brought this Gallade as a way of having a switch into Mew and also a way to 1v1 offensive Mew, because I can click Toxic on him and then click Knockoff and Shadow Sneak to kind of just 1v1 it to put it in range of something else. So yeah, that's the idea behind the team. Let's look at the matchup. So he ends up bringing the Ampharos, which I thought was pretty cool. I figured it may come because, you know, Torn is a threat otherwise, but yeah, not going to deter our strategy. Leads Mew versus my Roserade, and I just swap out right here because it didn't seem sensible to you know, kind of let my Mew go down to some type of offensive Mew set. But he goes for the Will-O-Wisp as I proceed to go for the Toxic on his swap out. He had no Toxic switching, so it was fine. I then go out to my Roserade because I knew I could eat any hit. And here I make a little bit of an over prediction by going for the Sleep Powder, I think. I anticipated him to go right out into Talonflame, or Mew, so I wanted to go for Sleep Powder, but definitely should have just clicked Giga Drain right here. So I'm end up having to swap out my Roserade because I'm just gonna die to another Diamond Storm. So I go out to my Gallade, take the Diamond Storm. At this point, Gallade is not really useful. He's a defensive Mew, so it's not gonna be really useful for anything. And plus his burn. So I just got with the Shadow Sneak chip. That plus Toxic will be able to 1v1 the Diancie and take it out. It's a double down. And I go to my Empoleon, right, because I figured Empoleon can eat any sort of hit that he may want to go for versus any of these mods, really. And he goes to Talonflame and just goes hard for the Flare Blitz. I was really surprised. He reveals to be Choice Banded, which I definitely knew was a possibility here. Choice Banded Talonflame, and my Empo is able to eat this, and I take it out with the Surf. So this is really nice for me. Talonflame was a huge threat to my team. It was one of the ways that he could revenge something like Choice Scarf, Crook, or even my Torn. So taking it out is really big. I still have ways of dealing with Gren too, so it's not the end of the world. He ends up just going after Gren and reveals to be Power Up Punch, physical, which I thought was interesting. He's Life Orb too. I figured that he was, with that, he was most likely like some type of Water Shuriken set with Power Up Punch, which is interesting. Definitely not the best set I think that you could have brought versus me, but it is what it is. I knew my Wash can 1v1 though, so I just go right to Wash and go for the Volt Switch. And now I can proceed to go out to my Torn. I'm packing the taunt so I can 1v1 his Mew. And knowing that he was going to go out to Ampharos, why else would you bring Ampharos, right? It's literally here for the Torn. So I double right out into my Roserade. And now this is going to allow me to get up a Spike, which is going to be really nice for these last 4 mons in the back. And he reveals to be Screens. So I'm like, okay, very, very interesting. I just go for the Sleep Powder to cripple him, and now I can just go for I think another Spike, right? It's really, really free, and it's affecting all 4 of his mons in the back. So I same with Roserade, just go for the Giga Drain to get some chip on him. I knew he was defensive, so he probably wasn't packing Psychic. Clicking Giga Drain is free right here, right? I can just keep clicking Giga, wear down his screens right here. And he's gonna have to tag me at some point. He reveals to be Psychic though. Gets us some big chip on Rose as I go for another Giga Drain. And I knew he has to taunt right here. So, I knew he has to roost right here. So I just go out to my Torn to get off a taunt. This Ampharos is crippled, right? Like, I go for a knockoff. Don't have to fear about getting static paired. And I just go right up to my Crook as he's still asleep with his Ampharos. And I just go right for the Earthquake. He has no switching. So yeah. Get my Moxie boost. He goes out to Mew, and I knew he was gonna live the Earthquake, so I go right out to my Torn. He goes for the Will-O-Wisp. I eat that up with my Lumberry, and yeah, I'm looking pretty solid right here. Go for the taunt on his next potential Will-O-Wisp. He then goes out to Donphan, a Hurricane from my Torn, and I do 1,000,000%, bro. He reveals to be offensive, surely, and Wheatland Policy said at that. And yeah, at this point, we're looking really solid. Like, my Torn just kind of wins this endgame. Plus my Wash is always going to check this physical Gren right here because I'm physically defensive. So yeah, I just go out to Wash, click Volt Switch, take out this Gren right here, and really it's just last mon Mew, which I can just take out with Torn right here because I have taunt to stop a defensive set. So yeah, that's going to be the end of that game right there. We end up beating Chip and going to 6-0. So very nice showing for me. This second time that I use this, not the second time. This was the second time I faced a Mew team like this, and I was able to beat it. Also, too, this is what is this? Like the 4th win. This is like, yeah, my 4th win with this Crook Torn Mega Gallade team. So really clean, showing again why Torn is, to me, one of the best mons in ORAS. These Torn teams where you get a Levitator plus a Fighting Mega is just really, really solid. I will be drafting a team like this again. 4-0 right now with this team specifically. 6-0 in overall. So last up for week 7, we are facing Sagai. I think that's how you say the name. Sagai, something like that, man. Anyways, I'm not too familiar with him. I've seen him around in the community, but I've never really interacted with him or really seen him play on a high level, so I don't really know too much to expect from him. But I ended up bringing this Garchomp team again with Mega Charizard X, and my opponent's team is Lando T, Grand Arrow, Mega Arrow, Scizor, Granbull, Ursaring, Electros, and Blastoise. So one thing to note is that he kind of has some good answers to Mega Charizard X and the Landorus and the Blastoise, which was kind of annoying. And I'm also facing another Greninja, and I'm like, bro, this is my like third Gren that I've fought. Like, I'm tired of facing Gren, bro. Oh my gosh, especially when I have really poor Dark resist. But also Mega Arrow 2 is sort of annoying to switch into. My team is sort of weak to Rock, so kind of annoying. And also too, he has good answers for my Metagross, which is proved to be a pretty good offensive threat. So and also too, Crobat is sort of invalidated by Mega Arrow, so really and Electro sort of invalidates Zapdos, so really a tough matchup here, honestly. Definitely wasn't looking too solid in my favor. I knew for this game specifically, I did a lot of testing to kind of get the best team possible. It was really difficult to kind of get a strategy that worked consistently, but you're gonna see here what we ended up bringing. So ended up bringing an offensive Charizard X, Dragon Claw, Iron Tail, HP Ice, and Will-O-Wisp. Now this is supposed to be my lead here, right? I noticed from testing that Charizard was really never going to be able to excel any other time here. And so I found lead Charizard X to be the best potential overall. I made it so that my Charizard X never drops to Adamant Arrow, Stone Edge, and with Will-O-Wisp I would be able to burn it and cripple it indefinitely. So really nice there. And then otherwise my Charizard X can eat an Earthquake from Landorus, and with Will-O-Wisp plus HP Ice I can basically 1v1 it and cripple it really well for it to open up some of my other mons. So I just found it to be a really solid lead. Next up is Yachi Garchomp special set. This is mainly so that I can get the maximum amount of damage possible versus something like a Gramble, something like Intimidate Landorus, versus also something like defensive Blastoise. This is our main rocker here, Yachi, so that we can eat an Ice Fang from Mega Arrow. And yeah, Surf for the Mega Arrow, so I don't have to rely on Draco Meteor. But pretty reliable mon here to sort of win an endgame. Next is a Lumberry Agility Metagross, rocking Meteor Mash, Zen Headbutt, and Thunder Punch. This was mainly meant to be a breaker here. I figured with Lumberry I could potentially take advantage of him trying to get a Skull Burn with Blastoise, or set up on a T-Waving Gramble. So, and with the agility, I knew for a fact he wasn't going to bring Scizor here, because Scizor just looked terrible. Like, my opponent has left Scizor before versus his team, so I knew he wasn't going to bring Scizor. So Meteor Mash plus Zen plus Thunder Punch hits everything really hard, and if my Charizard 1v1s that Lando T, then Metagross is going to look very, very solid. And I knew that his potential switch-ins to Metagross being Eel and Blastoise, it would be very, very good to get off some huge chip on them to open up my win con of Blastoise, which you're going to see. So agility is really just there in case I have the potential to win the game with it, but Metagross is really just here to break. Next is Charty Berry Zapdos, Volt Switch, HP Ice, Defog, Roost. Now the idea behind this is I can eat a Stone Edge from Mega Arrow and click Volt Switch, get off some huge shit versus him. HP Ice for Lando T, and then Defog to remove any sort of hazards for the rest of my team in case he was some choice. In case he was a Spikes Gren, Defog is really nice. But yeah, Zapdos just proven to be reliable once again. And next up, we're bringing the debut of Throw. Now, Throw looked really, really solid here off matchup, right? Like, he doesn't have a great way of killing Throw other than Flying Move Arrow, and even Gramble could come, but wasn't really that big of a deal, because if I got up enough bulk ups, I could easily just take whatever hit and circle throw it out. And also too, I had good ways of chipping down Gramble too, so Throw looked really, really solid. It allowed me to have a mod to switch into Greninja, because Choice Specs Greninja was really threatening, so Spadef Throw can easily eat whatever hit from it. And yeah, Throw overall just looked really, really solid as a win con bulk up Throw. So last up is Choice Scarf Blastoise. I really wanted a mon that could outspeed and revenge Arrow in an endgame, and also outspeed and revenge Greninja, since I wasn't bringing Crobat. So we brought Choice Scarf, Blastoise rocking Water Spout, Hydro Pump, Oris for Rapid Spin. Really, his only good water resists were the Gren and Blastoise, both of which I knew I could get some good chip on. I knew specifically Blastoise I could 1v1 with Metagross, so Choice Scarf Stoy's endgame looked really solid. And yeah, that's the idea behind this team that I brought. So let's dive into the game. This is week 7, by the way. With my undefeated streak on the line for the regular season, by the way. So yeah, my opponent, he ends up bringing the Ursaring over Scizor and Granbull, which honestly was looking pretty nice for me because that just means that throw is more free. But yeah. Also too, a strategy I had in this game too was if my opponent did bring Scizor, which my Metagross wasn't able to touch, I knew that would be at the expense of Granbull. And if he left Granbull, that means that my throw can more easily win. It would really just be Arrow. And I knew that if they did bring Granbull over the Scizor, that just meant that my Metagross was even more threatening versus my opponent. So that was sort of the idea behind the team that I brought, like some of the strategy that I had. But I lead Charizard here versus the Electros lead, as he reveals to be a more defensive set with Rocky Helmet. I'm like, all right, cool. This just means I can get off some good chip versus Eel. So I end up going for the Dragon Claw, get off some chip. Now I go for the Will-O-Wisp on his Lando T switching, which is really solid. I proceed to go for HP Ice on his Stealth Rocks, and essentially I've really crippled 2 Mons of his team with my lead Charizard deck. So this is really, really good for me. Him getting a Brox doesn't really matter because I can just defog with Zapdos, which I think I end up doing right here. Yeah, I end up clicking defog as he goes out to Ursaring, and I go for the Volt Switch as he reveals to be a Spadef Ursaring, like a pretty bulky set, and I'm like, ooh, that's gonna be a little bit annoying for my Blastoise, but not the end of the world. Go out to Metagross, go for the Meteor Mash on his Blastoise switch in, and here I'm just really focused on 1v1ing his Blastoise so that my Choice Scarf Blastoise gets opened up just a little bit more. So and I'm just clicking a series of T-punches versus him, and I don't have to fear getting Scaldburn because I have the Lumberry. So yeah, take out the Stoys right here with the T-punch, and yeah, mission accomplished. Stoys looks way more free versus him. I go to my throw here because I knew I didn't really need to sack off my my Metagross to this Gren. And I think I proceed to go for the Circle Throw right here. Yep. Take a little bit of chip with Rocky Helmet, and I get in his Ursaring, which is honestly good for me. I think I proceed to go for the bulk up here, and realistically, right here, right, I honestly should have just gone for game. And when I'm looking back at it, I should have just gone for game because he has no real way of threatening this throw right now. His only chance is to maybe rely on getting enough chips so that Life Orb Hydro Pump from Gren takes me out, but realistically, this throw is primed to win, and I sort of rushed the sequence by going for a Circle Throw right here and taking Rocky Helmet chip. I really should have just gone for continuous bulk ups, because I could have gotten off 3, right? Like I could have gotten off a bulk up right here on his knockoff, and then another bulk up as well, and then click rest. And with those 3 bulk ups at that point, Flying Move from Arrow is doing no damage, so definitely should have gone for game right here. I end up getting Arrow in from the Circle Throw, which is a little bit annoying. I just sack off my Metagross, and I proceed to go out to Blastoise and just go straight for the Water Spout. He has no good switching, do really good damage to the Ursaring, and he ends up sacking the Eel and preserving Ursaring, which is fine. My Swords is just looking very, very solid right now. He goes out to Gren, and he goes for the Hydro Pump and gets a crit. Really unfortunate crit. I knew I was going to drop to 2 Hydros. However, him being Life Orb meant that he was going to take 2 Life Orb ticks, and that would end up opening up his Gren to being closer in range of Aura Sphere. So really annoying that he ended up getting the crit there, but I mean, it's alright. It's alright. Can't get everything in your favor, you know. So I go to Garchomp because I knew I can eat any hit from Gren with a Yachi Berry. I get up my Rocks anticipating his swap out, and here I make a crucial misplay, right? I get up Rocks in his Lando, and I wasn't running a lot of speed, as you know, from on my Garchomp. I was running no speed, in fact. I was running just straight bulk and max push attack. And with him outspeeding my Charizard earlier with this Landorus, I knew that he was going to outspeed my Garchomp too. And in my mind, right, I I didn't want my Garchomp taking any chip from like an earthquake or anything like that, because I wanted to stay out of range of a Life Orb Ice Beam from Gren or Ice Fang from Arrow. But I really didn't think it through enough, where I knew for a fact he was going to click rocks, right? I knew he was going to click rocks with this Landorus, because he's going to want to be able to weaken that water spout damage from Stoys and also get some good chip on Zapdos. So I knew for a fact he's going to click rocks, not an earthquake. And also too, he was burned, so even if he did click earthquake, I was not going to take that much damage. I was still going to be out of range of any sort of revenge attempt from his Arrow or Gren. So definitely should have just stayed in right here and clicked Surf. Instead, I ended up swapping out into my Zapdos, which was definitely a misplay on my part, and you're going to see why. Because he ends up using this opportunity to go out to his Ursaring. And right when he went out to Ursaring, I knew that I messed up, because I knew for a fact he was Rest, Sleep Talk, Bulk Up. Definitely fumbled right here. I go for the Volt Switch. He lives on 1%, bro. 1%. 1%, man. And clicks Rest. I'm like, dang, bro. With my entire team being special, I'm not going to be able to kill him. My only hope right here is that he ends up taking some rough skin chip, and that I end up killing him with a combo of 2 Earth Powers plus a Draco. That's my only hope right now. And he ends up does taking the Life Orb chip. I go for the Earth Power again, and now I'm like, I just gotta hope I kill with Draco right here, right? And as you can see, he lives on 1% again, bro. 1%. I'm like, well, I have now lost. I've lost. I have no more tools to beat this Spadef Ursaring right here, and yeah, that's basically the end of the game, man. Really just poor play on my part, swapping out a Garchomp versus that Lando. Had I not done that, my Stoys would have been able to. I would have just taken out Garchomp, taken out his Landorus with my Garchomp. Had he have gone Arrow or Gren, I would have lived any hit. And as long as I didn't click Draco, which I absolutely did not need to click Draco with Garchomp ever. Once my Garchomp died, I just go out to Stoys and just spam Water Spout and just win the game. So definitely misplay on my part. Ends up costing me my undefeated streak in the regular season. But I mean, it is what it is. You know, you can never play 100% perfect. And I mean, 6-1 is still an incredible feat. So yeah, unfortunate misplay on my part, but I mean, it is what it is. At this point, I knew my team was making playoffs. I think we ended up going it'd be like, no, we ended up losing this final week, I'm pretty sure, but we ended up being 4-3, which was just enough to make playoffs. So it was honestly fine overall. But yeah, just gotta improve, play even better for playoffs, right? So now moving into playoffs, round 1. We are facing off against Metro. So I was really happy because I didn't end up getting a rematch of the team that they was brought when we faced this team last time. What was the team that they had? What was it? I don't remember exactly, but at least this was a fresh, brand new matchup despite us replaying this team. And Metro has a Clefable, Latios, Scizor, Nidoking, Arrow, Mega Arrow, Lantern, Quilladin, and Zangoose. And we're bringing our bread and butter, right? This Torn Mega Gallade team. This team has not failed me once. I knew it wasn't going to fail me again, bro. So, really cool thing I noticed about this matchup was, whatchamacallit, my Empo looked solid. Very, very solid. And the Empo that I was planning on bringing, from the jump, just looking at this matchup, I ended up sticking with all the way into a matchup. So very, very cool idea from me, and you're gonna see what that Empo was. Also too, Mega Gallade looks really nice offensively. He only has 1 check in Clef. He only has 1 check in Clef. Now Latios is a little bit annoying to switch into. I only really have maybe like a bulky Torn or Empo, but at the very least I can Pursuit trap it with my Crook. And then also Arrow is extremely annoying. Really, this is the worst Torn matchup of all time. Torn cannot do anything with the combo of Lantern Mega Arrow. It's just not possible, bro. I tried so many like sets to come up with for this. I had the idea of, I think, like bulk up Torn with like weakness policy or some that was meant to like eat Stone Edge from Mega Arrow after a bulk up, get the weakness policy, and then kill back with Iron Tail. But it was just so unreliable because I did absolutely no damage to Lantern. So Torn really just not viable here, but of course I gotta bring it because it's Torn and I need it for other mons. But yeah, let's just dive into this matchup. Well, the team that I brought. So starting off with a Screens Rotom Wash. I noticed off the bat his only way of removing screens is going to be Scizor, Latios, Mega Arrow, which may seem like a lot. However, the win con behind this team is going to beat every single one of these mons. So Screens was looking really primed to cook. Otherwise, plus Wash wasn't really viable with any other set, right? Like Lantern invalidates any sort of Volt switching Wash because of Volt Absorb. So I found Screens to be the most reliable. Rocking Pain Split to sort of 1v1 the Lantern, get some good chip on it because Lantern has such a high HP stat. And then Foul Play is mainly there so that I can cook an SD Scizor, since SD Scizor is a threat for sure. So yeah, Foul Play for that, and then also to hit Arrow and Lottie as well. Next is Choice Scarf Crook, rocking Stealth Rocks like the usual. And the idea behind this Crook right was it was my best lead in this game because I noticed he definitely wants a lead that's going to beat a Roserade lead. Have led Roserade so many times in these games. I knew he was going to want a lead that would stop Roserade from just walking all over him, getting up spikes early, you know, and all that stuff. So I knew that because of that, he was going to lead a lead like Latios, like Mega Arrow, that can kill Roserade effectively and not have it get up, you know, multiple layers of spikes. So due to that, I wanted a lead that could counteract the Latios or Mega Arrow lead. So that is the idea behind this Choice Scarf Crook. I am running Beat Up, Knockoff Pursuit, Beat Up, Stealth Rocks. Beat Up specifically because I knew if he led Latios, it most likely was going to be a Cobra set with Ice Beam, probably T-Bolt, something like that. But if it was a lead Latios, he was 100% going to be a Cobra set. So the idea behind Beat Up is he's not going to swap out of Latios versus a Crook lead, you know, of course, because he can be pursuit trapped. He's going to stay in because he's going to be built for that. So Beat Up allows me to break through the Cobra Berry initially with the weakest hit possible. That's why we're leading this Rotom Wash. Hit him with the weakest hit possible of Beat Up, and then proceed to break through the Cobra and kill him with the rest of the Beat Up hits off lead. So that was the idea behind that. Otherwise, if he leads Arrow, it will allow me to get up my rocks early because the Intimidate will force him out, probably will go Clef, and I can just get up my rocks for free. So Crook looked like a very solid lead. I didn't have any other use for Crook. So yeah, Crook looked very solid off lead. Next is a Torn with a Eject button, primarily just straight physically defensive with a little bit of speed. The idea behind this was I figured that he may end up leaving the Nidoking for the Zangoose. Okay, now in mocks during this week, no one brought Zangoose. I'm like, bro, this Zangoose is coming, bro. Look at my normal switch-ins, bro. Look at my normal switch-ins. I have none. It's Empoleon and that's it. And I'm like, Zangoose is 100% coming over Nidoking because look at Nidoking. It's threatened by Empoleon Water Stab. It's threatened by Gallade outspeeding it and hitting it with a psychic move. And then it's also having to try and click Earth Power when I have a Rotom Wash and Torn and Crook that also threatens it offensively. I'm like, bro, Zangoose is coming. It's fire here with Facade, SD, Quick Attack. It's very solid. So yeah, I knew Zangoose was gonna come, and I really wanted to have a switch into it. So that's why we're bringing this Eject button Torn. The idea behind this is that if he brings in Zangoose, right, this would allow me to come in, eat a hit with the eject button, and swap out, and then get in my Crook if I still have it around, and then click Knockoff or Pursuit. That was the idea behind that. I found that Eject button was also nice too because Eject button would allow me to have a Mon that I can pivot in on the Lantern, Volt Switch, or Scizor U-turn, right? I wanted to make sure I kept up momentum and got in my offensive threats. And if I had up screens, I wanted a way to get in my setup Empoleon that you're going to see. Get in my setup Empoleon as fast as possible behind those screens. So eject button was really, really nice. It was the main way I found that I could utilize my Torn here. Because offensive Torn is not going to do anything. So we're running Foul Play, Knockoff, U-turn, Taunt. Foul Play is literally just to hit Zangoose, Lottie, Arrow, Scizor hard with Foul Play. Knockoff to knockoff Clef item, Lantern item, whatever. Taunt is so that we can keep Clef low and also stop it from setting up late game. That was the idea behind Taunt. And yeah, Torn is really just going to be functioning as a support mon in this team. Next is Focus Sash Roserade. This was going to be my initial lead. However, I noticed through testing, Crook was functioning way better. So I wanted to still maintain Focus Sash because I knew that in the sequence of me leading Crook versus the Mega Arrow lead and him swapping out to Clef, in the case of him going Clef, I could just go hard out to my Roserade. If he was some Life Orb offensive Clef, I would be able to live with my Focus Sash if he clicked Fire Blast. If not, and he clicked Rocks or something like that on my Roserade switching, I would still have my Sash intact. If he swapped out Clef, went to like Scizor or something like that, or Mega Arrow, I still have my Sash to live whatever hit they go for, and I can react accordingly. Spike's very, very solid versus his team. Helps out my Empoleon winning this game, and otherwise I can just click Stun Spore, HP Ice, Sludge Bomb, all that. Very, very clean. Next is the win con of this game, SD Empoleon. Bro, I did so many mocks for this game here because of course it's playoffs. You know me, I'm a sweater, bro. I sweat. I do a lot of mocks, and every one of these mocks, Empoleon cooked, bro. It clean. It did so much work. I was like, okay, this Empo is finna do the same thing in this game, man. Like, look at it. Aqua Jet, Steel Wing, Earthquake, SD with the Chople Berry. We're running enough speed so that we outspeed I think like a little bit invested speed in Lantern. That was the idea behind that. Earthquake bops the Lantern at +2. Otherwise, Steel Wing cooks Clef at +2, and Aqua Jet kills everything else. The only thing that Aqua Jet does not kill, like this Empoleon kind of struggles with, is the Latios. But with the idea behind my Crook Pursuit trapping it early, I knew that I could possibly eliminate Latios so that this Empo is opened up. Plus behind screens too, the combo of +2 Steel Wing plus Aqua Jet would be able to kill Latios, especially if I had up Rocks as well. So this Empo looks really, really solid. It's able to clean up an endgame, not worry about priority from a Scizor, not worry about priority from Zangoose, and not worry about arrow speed as well. So really like this Empo set that I brought. Pretty creative in my part. I was originally going to rock Defiant to take advantage of any defog attempts trying to remove screens, but I found Torrent to be a little bit more reliable to get that extra Aqua Jet chip, extra Aqua Jet damage if I was in range of Torrent. So yeah, and then last is Gallade rocking Drain Punch, Poison Jab, Ice Punch Substitute. I ran Substitute because I found that if I end up Mega Evolving Gallade, clicking an attack versus Clef, most likely he's going to click T-Wave with Clef. And so I like Substitute because I could click Sub to Scout. I could also Scout on a Clef switching too to kind of ease up the predictions I had to make. And 2 Poison Jabs, like if I click Sub on Clef switching, click Poison Jab on his Moonblast, and click Poison Jab again, it would allow my Gallade to you know, really just take out his Clef and cook otherwise. So yeah, but yeah, let's just dive into this game right here and take a look at our round 1 playoff match. But anyways, yeah, let's turn this around real quick. One moment, you all. But yeah, so my opponent, he ends up bringing the Zangoose. Like I thought, I knew that Zangoose is gonna come because it just looked way more threatening than Nidoking. But like I said, we prepared accordingly for this, right? I knew Zangoose was gonna come, and I was not gonna change up my prep, even though I hadn't seen it in mocks. But yeah, so we're just gonna lead off with our crook. We have a great strategy in mind. And yeah, let's just get started. So he leads off with the Latios. I knew they're gonna lead off with Latios or Arrow in this matchup. So this is a great lead for me. I go straight for the beat up. And I'm looking at this beat up damage, bro. And I'm like, wait a second. I was like, wait, this is doing nothing. Bro, oh my gosh. This beat up did absolutely no damage. And he ends up being weakness policy and takes out my crook. I'm like, no, the whole strat is gone. I was not expecting this crook to, this Latios to ever live crook beat up. I'm like, bro, this is some fat Latios right here. And I'm like, +2/2, and this was a fault of mine, bro. I took off Shadow Sneak from my Gallade. I originally had it over sub, but I took it off. And I'm also not running a fast enough Torn to outspeed max speed Latios. So I'm like, bro, if he's max speed Latios and this has to stay in right here, I'm cooked. I'm straight up cooked, because I'm gonna die to +2 Ice Beam. I have no way of outspeeding and killing this mon. So I was like, I have Focus Sash Roserade, but I was like, I'm not trying to use up my Focus Sash right now just to kill a 15% Latios. So I was like, bro, I just gotta risk it right now. Like, I know my Torn for a fact does not outspeed this Latios at all, but I was like, he doesn't know this. Of course, he doesn't know my Torn doesn't outspeed Latios. So I was like, I'm just gonna hope and pray he swaps out. He has about a bajillion. He has great Torn answers. So I was like, he has to swap out into Arrow or Lantern. He's not just gonna sack this Latios. So I just go out to my Torn. Knew I didn't outspeed, but I clicked U-turn anyways. But yeah, it ends up working out for me because he does go out to Arrow. I used the opportunity to go out to my Wash. And this is a little bit early for my screens strategy, but I just go for the foul play because I thought that he was gonna maybe go out to Latios and try and get up a roost versus my Wash. So I click foul play, anticipating that. But yeah, ends up staying in with Arrow and clicking Toxic. And I do a lot with foul play, so this is pretty cool for me. This means that he's in range of +2 Aqua Jet from Empo. And anticipating him 100% swapping out into his Lantern next turn, I go hard out into my Roserade, anticipating that double. And I go for the Spike on his Volt Switch. So already really nice. I get up my Spike, which is going to be crucial. Chip versus things like Lantern versus things like Scizor when it comes to Empo sweeping. So he goes out to his Zangoose. I was pretty surprised by this because I was like, this is a speed tie. Roserade is base 90. Zangoose is base 90, so this is a speed tie. I don't really know what he was cooking here. I guess he just wanted to get in Zangoose to get his Toxic Orb up, because he wasn't going to have another opportunity to do so. But I just thought it was just really strange of him to just go out to Zangoose and risk a speed tie. And as you can see, it ends up working out for me, because I go straight for the Sludge Bomb and just take out his Zangoose immediately. I'm like, yes, that is a huge threat gone. Because in the case that I didn't take out that Zangoose right there and he killed my Roserade, I did have Torn with foul play to revenge kill him, but if he clicked quick attack for some reason, I would get eject buttoned out first, which would have been really bad. So definitely so glad that I took out his Zangoose like that, winning that speed. I don't know if it was a speed tie or what, but I did take him out. Goes up to Latios here, and I'm like, okay, this Latios being so bulky is not going to kill my Roserade ever. So plus he was never going to kill my Roserade, so I just kill him with HP Ice. Then he goes through Arrow and clicks Pursuit to, I guess, ensure my Roserade dies. But I'm like, okay, cool. My Empoleon looks absolutely fantastic right now. I can just set up my screens. He goes up the Lantern, tries to just, get some chip on my Rotom, but I'm like, okay, cool. I can just go for Pain Splits right now, get him chipped down, and all I need to do is bring in my Torn on whatever attack he goes for, and then get in my Empo to set up. So he goes up to Scizor and takes a lot from foul play. I'm like, okay, I don't really know what's going on. Plus, he reveals me Life Orb. And I'm like, bro, number one, this is the tip for all players, bro. Never run Life Orb on a U-turn pivoting mon, unless it's a regen mon. Like, never run Life Orb on a mon that's clicking U-turn. Like, what are you doing? Well, what are you doing? It just makes no sense. You're taking needless shit for no reason. But yeah, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna stay in with my wash until I just get, until I die, because it will give me the free setup attempt with Empo. So click foul play, do a lot to arrow, and now my Empo is behind screens. I can just click SD right now, and he goes with the lantern, and so I click earthquake, but he reveals to be Shuka and lives on like 9%. I'm like, dang. In this moment I was like, I should have ran Lum. Because he ends up clicking T-Wave, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna make it so much more difficult, because now I gotta break through the para hacks. And so, man, so he ends up swapping out his lantern and going out to Clef. Luckily, he's not unaware. However, he reveals to be Encore. I'm like, okay, what do I do here? I'm like, well, I'm Encored into Jet, and necessarily he doesn't have a good Jet switching. Like his lantern dies to Spike, so he can't go out to lantern, and everything else is going to die to +2 Jet anyway. So it's really, he has no other option but staying in with this Clef right now. So I'm just gonna click Jet even though I'm Encored and just see what he does. So I just keep spamming Jet, and all he really does from this is just spams soft boiled plus Encore. And I'm like, at this moment I realize, bro, he cannot touch my Empo besides Encore. I'm like, I was running the numbers in this moment. I'm like, I have way more Jets than what he's able to do with Encore and soft boiled. Plus, I can just spam Jet because I really only need about 3 of them. I only need 3 of them in the end game to win this end game with Jet, like to kill this arrow, this scissor, this lantern. Honestly, I don't even need Jet. I really need 2 Jets to win the end game. So I was like, I'm just gonna keep spamming Jet because I have no reason not to. Like, he can't do anything. Eventually, he's just gonna have to let Clef go. So I was like, it's just way in my favor to just keep clicking Jet and just see what he does. Now, I'm gonna skip some turns here, but the TLDR is I never get paired with my Empo, which is really surprising because like, my luck is not good, bro. Like, ever. My luck is not good, but I primarily do not get paired with this Empo ever. And the funny thing is number one, had I gotten paired, it ends up not using my PP, which makes it way easier for me to just spam Jet in the end game, versus what this Clef is doing right here. But also too, if I got paired on the turn Encore ended, it ended up resetting my turns so that I would then be able to click Steel Wing and not be Encore locked into Aqua Jet. So honestly, me getting paired here, me not getting paired was sort of the luck working against me in of itself. But I mean, it's fine. He ends up clicking Heal Wish with his Clef eventually. I'm pretty sure in game 2 this took ages for him to make that Heal Wish play. Like he took ages straight up on this turn right here of thinking what to do, and I was like, bro, there's literally no other option for you. Like, just get on with it. Like, you're finna lose to this Empo. This Empo is finna cook you. Like, just accept it. But anyways, he clicks Healing Wish out to his Scizor. I'm like, all right, that's fine. I click Jet. I'm Encored into it, so yeah. Otherwise, I would have clicked like Earthquake and killed him. But I'm Chople Berry, so I know I eat this superpower. So I could have on this turn right here risked clicking Aqua Jet and taking out this Scizor and then clicking Jet versus everything else and winning the game. However, I knew all it takes is one para, bro. One para, one unfortunate para. I haven't gotten really paired like that, and it's only 2 mons that I need to break through for. But I was like, all it takes is one unfortunate para and I'm finna lose this game. So I was like, let me take the most safe route possible. So I swap out of my Empo here just to not get unfortunately paired. I take the superpower, takes his life orb chip. I get out with the eject, but I'm like, okay, cool. I can claim a kill with Gallade. And honestly, really here, on his minus 2 Scizor, I really should have just clicked sub. I kind of figured he was gonna sack Lantern. So I really should have just clicked sub. It would have guaranteed that I won this endgame, a little bit more safely, I guess. But yeah, I end up just killing the Gallade, and he ends up going out to Arrow and revealing to be Aerial Ace, which is really unfortunate, because now it really comes down to me winning with this Empo that I have. So I go to my Empoleon, which by the way, he revealed to not be really a move to touch Empoleon, so it's very, very free for me right now. I click Jet, get him down to 5%, and yeah, I get him down to 5% with the Jet, And I'm like, okay, cool. He dies to spikes, he dies to life orb chip, so I can just go out to my Torn right here, and he ends up doubling out into arrow. And I'm like, okay. At this point, my main my main strategy is to just keep him low enough so that he dies to Aqua Jet. And I'm gonna have 2 attempts with Aqua Jet because he can't kill me outright, like, because he only has aerialist and pursuit. So ends up sacking Scizor, and then I just keep spamming foul play. And at this point, I'm guessing he's just going to try and get as healthy as possible with roosting, so that he can live a jet from Empoleon. It's funny, right? Because realistically, right, I need like in the event when my Torn goes down, right, and I bring out my Empo, if I get parried on the first turn, that he clicks an attack, I'm going to be in torrent range, so then he's going to be in range of the next jet. But if I break through with the first Aqua Jet, he's not going to die, so I still need to break through with the second one. So really, I just need to not get parried on the final Aqua Jet that I go for. That's how I win this game right now. But yeah, he just spams Roost as I click foul play. I'm just gonna skip through this. But yeah, ends up taking out my Torn. He's at about 50%. I go for Aqua Jet. He goes for Airless. I do not die, of course, and I end up breaking through on the last one, and we end up taking out the arrow. So God bless, inshallah. As you can see in the chat, we did not get parried on that final Aqua Jet. I would have been so upset if Bot Empo broke out the entirety of the time but got parried on the final Aqua Jet. Would have been so annoying, especially because he really did rely on Para to really come back in this endgame. Really annoying, but I mean, it was his best strategy, so it is what it is. But yeah, we have won playoffs, round 1. Fire. This team has gone, what, I think like 5-0 at this point. Such a fire team. Really enjoy using it. Empo proves once again that it's one of the best win cons, one of the best offensive threats in ORAS. Everybody go out there, get yourself an Empo, get yourself an Empoleon for ORAS. It's underrated, it's slept on. You know what? I'm just talking about this right now. Every time I'm in a tournament, I innovate. All right, I innovate. What was it? LDI? I innovated Haxorus. I got the streets using Haxorus, bro. They were sleeping on it. They were sleeping on Haxorus and Sword and Shield. I got the streets to use Haxorus. Haxorus fire, goated, put an insane amount of work in that tournament. Now I have innovated ORAS and Empoleon. Empoleon is the GOAT. As you can see, it wins games consistently. It's been fire, absolutely phenomenal. So that's just innovation at work right there. But yeah, next up is our finals game. We are facing the Phantom Thieves, #1 team in the league. I think we were 3rd seed, they were 1st seed, so this is going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a fire series. But in terms of my part, we are doing a rematch versus the team that we faced week 2 that Shadow was using, and said it's not Shadow, it's what is his name? CG12. He's going to be using this team instead. I don't know too much about CG12 when it comes to his experience and how good he is in ORAS, but they are the #1 team in the league. So, and this is final, so I knew it was going to be a tough one either way. But like I said, it is a rematch, and we did end up winning the rematch. So TLDR, I do not like playing rematches when I have won the first bout. Okay, I think it makes it really difficult because you're forced into trying to come up with a new team, even though the team that you used was successful. So really, all you can really do is take maybe the slight things that didn't work in the last matchup and change them up slightly. But coming up with a new strategy when you already won the first time is kind of difficult, because especially in my case, I brought the best team possible in my mind. So it's going to be a little bit hard to come up with a varying team in this case. So that was one of the struggles I was having. But at the same time too, I knew my matchup was still good. Overall, Torn, still a phenomenal threat. Choice Scarf, same set as last time, still super strong and needed in this game. I figured that this time, with Shadow bringing an offensive weakness policy lead Mew last time, I figured that they would maybe rely on a defensive Mew this time. One with possibly Ice Beam or Nightshade with Will-O-Wisp, and then possibly like Roost or Taunt, with Roost and Taunt, or like if not Taunt, then like Defog, but probably Taunt. I figured may come out. This was, I think I worked alongside with Aki a little bit, and he kind of pointed out how threatening that set was versus me the first time. So that was going into this, I really wanted to focus on being able to handle a Mew like that. That was the main thing I was worried about. I was also noting the fact that too, that because of how offensive Torn is versus him, like how great it is offensively and how unviable Bronzong and Manectric are, I figured that he may rely on something like a Spadef Togekiss. I figured Spadef Togekiss would be his best way of checking Torn without having to bring Bronzong and Manectric. However, I thought that he would still bring Bronzong over Roselia this time, because Roselia proved to be unviable the first time, and because of that, I knew I wanted to rely on my T-Spike strategy again. But yeah, essentially, the main idea of this was I was going to bring similar offensive threats as the last time because they're still great, but I kind of changed up my defensive options a little bit, as you're going to see. So we're rocking the Choice Scarf Torn again. I think I changed up my EVs a little bit. I think this was accounting, my speed was accounting for a Choice Scarf Infernape outspeeding an Agility Empo. But yeah, dual stab, rocking HP Ice this time over Toxic. I noticed that it was a little bit difficult revenging Garchomp in this new testing, and I was really scared of him running like an SD Garchomp with like Outrage or something, and me not being able to kill it outright because of the non-transferable speed with Gallade. So I really wanted HP Ice to have a strong way of revenge killing it. So next is a Roserade with Custap Berry, Sludge Bomb, HP Ice, Toxic, Spikes, and Endure. So this is a pretty creative set. Initially, I was going to be rocking a lead Roserade. However, I noticed from testing that lead Roserade just really wasn't viable at all. It worked out the first time, but I just knew that it wasn't going to work out this time. So, but Roserade was really awkward, right? Like, look at Roserade versus team. It really is threatened by everything, and it's really awkward to use in the mid game because it's slower than Garchomp, Infernape, Mew, Gren, so it's really hard to make work. So that's why I kind of settled on this Custap Endure set. This set came a little bit late in the building process, but in my mind, I kind of worked out the sequencing. Like I worked it out just through thoughts, and this was the conclusion I came of. Like this would be the best set to run for a mid-game Roserade. So Sludge Bomb, HP Ice, Toxic Spikes, Endure. Wanted to have some way of getting at my Toxic Spikes early to mid-game, and with Endure Custap, it would allow me to, if I got up a T-Spike versus I don't know, like a swap out from Bren or like a swap out from Togekiss or something like that, I can Endure on a Infernape Flare Blitz, or like a Mew hit, or like a Garchomp hit, and then on the following turn with Custap, outspeed and threaten to KO them with the likes of Sludge Bomb, the likes of HP Ice, or get off a T-Spike if I had attacked first and needed to get off a T-Spike before I died. So that was the idea behind that Roserade. Next is a Yache Berry Crook. Changed it from the AV set. Yache Berry is mainly just for Ice Beam Mew. Rocking knockoff Stone Edge, Pursuit, Taunt. I am running Taunt. I changed it to Taunt this time because I wanted to ensure that any defog attempts from Spadef Togekiss would be blocked from majority of my mons. Because if I got up my T-Spikes, I knew that if he didn't bring Roserade, his main way of getting rid of T-Spikes would be defog Togekiss. So I wanted to make sure none of my mons allowed Togekiss to get up get rid of T-Spikes for free. So that's why I'm running Taunt on Crook. Yache Berry for the Ice Beam Mew potential if he is an offensive setup set. And then Stone Edge to, get chip off on Togekiss and knock off for everything else. Blah, blah, blah. Pursuit for Bronzong. Everything else, yeah. Next is a Rest Chesto Berry Empoleon with Skull, Flash Cannon, Stealth Rock, Rest. Um, the idea behind this was I wanted some way of switching into Will-O-Wisp Mew, and also I guess applying some offensive pressure. And really, he has no good switching to Empo. And I noticed with Rest of Chesto, I could eat the Will-O-Wisp, fire off Scalds, and then click Rest on one of his roosts and reset my Empo. And then with Skull burns and stuff like that, even though if I got burned from Synchronize or whatever, I'll still be cool with the rest. And I could end up sort of basically 1v1ing a defensive Mew. So that was the idea behind that. Next is Gallade, Drain Punch, Ice Punch, Knockoff Taunt. Taunt this time to keep Mew low, defensive Mew low, and also stop defog attempts from Togekiss. Otherwise, Gallade is going to function pretty similarly to last time. And then last but not least is defensive Rotom Wash. Changed it more to Fizz Death this time than Spadef, because I wanted to have a good way of eating a SD Dragon Claw from Garchomp. But yeah, same moves as last time. Just ready to help us live 2 Draco Meteors from Special Mega Garchomp. But yeah, changed up the team slightly, but overall still the same concept. We're trying to win with this Choice Scarf Torn. So let's get into this match. They end up bringing Roserade again, which I was really shocked about. I was like, I cannot believe this Roserade has come again. They must really, really hate T-Spikes, bro, like in Mox. But yeah, so I end up leading my Gallade versus his Mew, and this is not really a great lead for me because I don't want to get Will-O-Wisp. So I just go hard out into my Empo as I take that Will-O-Wisp. And now I'm just gonna fire off Scalds because this is my best play, right? Like, he has no great Scald switching. It's only Rose, and I get the burn immediately, which is really, really clean. And I knew for my strategy, right, if I want to get up T-Spikes, I'm gonna need to eliminate this Roserade. So I just go hard out into my Crook with the intention of possibly pursuit trapping this Rose. I knew with him being defensive Mew, this Crook is not going to really be helpful against it. Like, I don't need to worry about a setup set. He's defensive. So I can use this Crook to 1v1 this Rose and stop it and basically take it out to allow my T-Spikes to prosper afterwards. So I click Knockoff right here, anticipating him to stay in. He ends up clicking Giga Drain, getting a little bit of health back, and now I can go for the pursuit and guaranteed kill this Roserade, this Roselia. So this is really nice for me. Now that means that when I get up my T-Spike, they're going to be here to stay unless he's defog Togekiss. So yeah, he goes for the rocks with Mega Garchomp. I just get off a little bit of chip with Knockoff. As he proceeds to then go for an SD, I get a slight crit with Knockoff, but I mean, it's fine. It's cool because I've gotten this Garchomp in range of HP Ice from Torn, so chilling right now. I just click HP Ice. He goes Spadef Togekiss, like I thought that he would bring. And this is a little bit annoying for me because he has up a lot of hazards versus me. And like I said, this defensive Mew is really hard for me to break down. But yeah, he doubles out into Mew on my Rotom Wash. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to get off a Toxic on it, but he ends up revealing Taunt, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be annoying. He then fires off a Nightshade, and I'm like, ooh, this is bad. I took that Hazard Chip plus the Nightshade plus the Will-O-Wisp. I'm not gonna be able to get off a rest with my Empo, and so my Empo ends up dying, and I'm like, I have really no great way of taking out this Mew. Like, I don't really have a lot of stall breaking methods on my team. So I'm like, I need to get up my T-Spike. I absolutely have to get up my T-Spike if I have any way of winning this game. So I just go right out to my Roserade. I figured he may click Taunt here to stop T-Spike from going up, but I figured that it still was in my best interest to click T-Spike here. If he did click Taunt, I could then proceed to just spam Sludge Bomb because he really had no good switch into Sludge Bomb. So I just figured it was in my best interest to just go for T-Spike. He does reveal it. He does go for the Taunt. As I proceed to click Sludge Bomb, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna spam Sludge Bomb to try and get a poison on Mew because it's gonna make it way easier for my the rest of my team. Get a nice crit right there, and he ends up just kind of spamming Sludge Bomb, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna spam Sludge Bomb right here, and then I end up clicking T-Spike on his anticipated next recovery move, but he ends up swapping right onto Garchomp. But bet I got up my T-Spike. We're looking really, really solid. This Mew is at 52%, plus T-Spike is up. all I need to do right now is just apply pressure and make sure that I prime my Togekiss to win. I mean, I took a hit, my Torn to win. All I need to really do is kind of get this Togekiss lowered a bit so that it's in range of Hurricane from Torn. That's my main way of winning. So he goes out to Garchomp. I click Endure to get my Cuss Up because I knew I was going to outspeed. And now he's essentially forced to sack Amon right here, or sack Garchomp. I kind of thought that he would just sack Garchomp because a 40% Garchomp versus what I had left didn't really seem that necessary, but he ends up swapping out and going out into Infernape, taking the T-Spike and this HP Ice Chip. And yeah, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm just going to sack off my Roserade here, see what he wants to do. If he goes out to Togekiss, I can at least stop it from defogging with my taunt Gallade. But he goes out to Gren. I'm like, okay, cool. I can just use this opportunity to get off my Mega with Gallade. I can click Drain Punch right here for free. And I do end up clicking Drain Punch. He goes out into Togekiss. I'm like, well, my main priority right now is clicking Taunt because I don't want him to defog for his Mew. So I prioritize clicking Taunt over clicking like Ice Punch. So I go for the Taunt. He ends up clicking the S-Toss. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go for Ice Punch right now, right? Like, I mean, I have no reason not to. Like, my Gallade is in, it's not gonna get another opportunity, so I end up taking out the Garchomp. As he then goes up to Gren, kills me with Dark Pulse, and I'm like, well, really, right now, right? My Torn is the only way how I'm gonna win this game. Like, that's it. Like, my Torn is the only way I'm winning this game. So I'm gonna have to go out to Torn. I'm gonna have to click Hurricane, hopefully land versus the Gren. I do land versus the Gren, which is really, really nice for me. I thought that he was going to go Togekiss next to kind of force me out with a potential T-Wave. And I was just going to go out in the Rotom Wash and then click Volt Switch. But he actually goes up to Mew, and I'm pretty surprised by that. Because this Mew can't really beat my Torn at this point. But he just spams Soft Boiled as I just click Hurricane. I unfortunately misses Hurricane. I would have been able to take out this Mew, but it's fine. I can just spam Hurricane as the most he can do to me is click Will-O-Wisp and click Nightshade. That's about it. But yeah, click Hurricane right here. He clicks Nightshade, and I think I click another Hurricane right now, and then I take out the Mew. Shout out to the T-Spike. So then he finally goes Togekiss. I feel like he should have gone Togekiss before the Mew, but it is what it is. I go right out to my Rotom Wash as he clicks S-Toss, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can just proceed to click Toxic because Toxic is free. Get off a Toxic on this Togekiss. I'm like, okay, cool. The fact that my Rotom Wash outspeeds this means that I can essentially just 1v1, right? I have Pain Split, I have Toxic, I can 1v1 this Togekiss, get him in range of Air Slash / Hurricane from Torn, and win this game with Torn. I guaranteed outspeed. Well, I don't guarantee outspeed, but I outspeed most versions of Choice Scarf and Infernape. So really, this is a pretty simple endgame right here. He goes out into Infernape as I click Hidden Power Ice, and I'm like, okay, he went out hard into Infernape. Now looking at my team, right? I'm like at this point, if he's Choice Scarf Infernape, which I'm pretty sure he is, because he revealed to be U-turn, I'm like, he has to click Close Combat. Like, he has to click Close Combat, right? Like, he can't click Flare Blitz, because if I just take him out, my Rotom Wash kills him. So I'm like, he has to click Close Combat. And I'm like, whatchamacallit, the only way I can kill this Infernape is with Volt Switch. I'm not carrying Hydro. The only way I can kill it only way I can kill Infernape is with Volt Switch. And I'm like, well, I don't want to take this Close Combat and Volt Switch out, because if I take this Close Combat Volt Switch out, I'm going to die to Rocks coming back in, right? And I want to make sure I have this Wash alive, because he hasn't revealed what his other two moves are on Togekiss. And if he's a last move Heal Bell or T-Wave or something like that, he could easily just Heal Bell his Toxic off and 1v1 my Togekiss. I mean, I said my Torn. So that's why I really value keeping Rotom alive. So I'm like, there's no way that he's clicking Flare Blitz here. He has to click CC. So I just go right out into oh no. I stay in with Wash because I knew this was to me a brilliant play on my part. I knew with him clicking CC, I knew that I lived guaranteed because I'm defensive, and I knew he didn't kill me. And I'm like, to eliminate the 50-50 of him predicting my Torn to come out and him clicking Flare Blitz and killing me and him winning the game via that, I can click Pain Split right now, eat the close combat, see what he locks into, and I can get out of range of rocks, so that if I see he locks into close combat, I can then go out into my Torn, eat the rocks plus close combat, go out to Torn, and then click Air Slash, and that will mean that I have kept around my Rotom to live, and I can use my Rotom to then 1v1 Togekiss guaranteed and win this game straight out. So I was like, that's the best way I can, go about winning this game right now. It's my best way to win, without having to risk losing to one of the last moves on Togekiss. So yeah. So I click Pain Split, get my health back, go right out to Torn to eat this close combat, and unfortunately, I get crit. And I'm like, are you serious? I remember when I was playing this game, I literally banged on my freaking desk, bro. I was like, are you freaking serious, bro? Oh my, I was livid because I literally took the steps, the precautions to make this the most solidified, up to random factors chance to win this game. And how I get repaid, I get freaking close combated by Infernape. And critted at that. So it's like, oh my gosh, bro, like, are you serious? Like, and especially too, right, in this game, I didn't really discuss it, but I was getting pretty outplayed, and it was looking really dire for me. However, I brought it back so well to get to this point, and when at a point when I really thought I was going to be losing this game early on because I couldn't break through this Mew, but I brought it back so well. And for me to lose in this fashion on a 1-turn critting my Torn, I was so upset, bro. Oh my gosh. And the thing is, okay, right, like, of course it's Mons, right? The crit chance in ORAS is a little bit higher, and so it's not something out of this world. But I was more so mad about me losing in this faction because, of course, this is a finals series, 8 games. So in an 8-game series, you need to win as much as possible. Like, it's really difficult to clean up a team 5-3. So, and my win really mattered. So I was really upset just in that terms, because I knew that my win really was dependent on our success was really dependent on my win. So I was really upset that I lost in this way. But I mean, it is what it is. I did the proper steps in my mind. I think in most people's viewpoint of make sure I won this game guaranteed. Like, I made the correct plays and did everything I needed to do. I just got unfortunately pretty unlucky, and yeah. So yeah, that's that. Overall, my team ended up losing finals. We lost 5-3. So had I won this game, we would have gone to tie breaks, which is even more emphasis about the importance of that crit right there. But yeah, that was the end of our TDT season, and that is the end of all these matches that I played. So just as a little recap, I'm honestly really proud of myself, of my performance in this. I know it's TDT, and most people view TDT as kind of a lesser DPL. It's not as sweat intensive and not as great of competition. However, I played probably the tier that had the most competition and best players playing in it, being ORAS, and also to play a tier that I really wasn't that familiar with before, and to do so well, having an overall record of 7-2, potentially 8-1. I'm really just proud of myself, because I feel like I put in a lot of work, a lot of effort, and I got repaid for it. So I'm really happy with my MVP run. At this time, I'm pretty sure the awards aren't solidified, but I had the most votes for MVP, not only for overall MVP of the season, but also for MVP of ORAS. So yeah, great run on my part. Shout out to the team, shout out to all the helpers, shout out to my captains, Hackers, Feel, shout out to my teammates. I'm looking at Gorax, bro. Shout out my man's Gorax. He's the next up and coming member, bro. He finna be cooking. He was providing those nice mocks. Also too, I just want to talk about like, I feel like, of course, there's more that goes into an MVP run, right, than just winning your own matches. Like, of course, anybody witnessing my season here, either through this video or actually live during the TDT server, will only see me just winning my games and will think that I deserve MVP for that. But I also just wanted to talk about all the things that I did for my team. Honestly, I was really sweating for my team post really like week 2, and like, bro, I was slaving, bro. I was building mocks for everybody, even advanced. I don't even know anything about advanced, but I was cooking in advanced. I helped the advanced boys. I learned the tier. I provided mocks. I was doing my part, and I made teams for a lot of people during the season. I'm not gonna say that was like, you know, the reason for the success, because of course you got to play with the team that you're given. So shout out to my teammates for utilizing my prep support super well. Really happy with what we accomplished in this season. All of you all, Hopeless, Gorax, oh my gosh, I'm having a brain fart. Sir Kill, T-Row, all of you all did great. Anybody who I'm missing, you also did great. Thank you for you know, supporting me with the mocks and everything like that. I definitely couldn't have gotten this MVP record without the team support of my team and people helping me and believing me to do well. So yes, thank you very much. I know it's been a long video, but very much appreciative of everybody who's watched and stayed with me this far. And yeah, coming up, we're going to be having Smoke On Team Tour and APA Clash of Kings. I'm not sure if I'm going to be participating in APA, but I'm 100% going to be participating in Smoke On Team Tour. So I hope to potentially be a captain for that and lead my team to success there. So stay with me for that. We're definitely going to have some content for those tournaments coming up. Shout out to not shout out, but thank you for watching these leagues I've been a part of. I'm not going to have any Trick House tournaments, Trick House like matches, because I ended up dropping from that. But if you want to see some Trick House related content, check out my boy High Jump Sean. He got that coming for you. I'm gonna get him on that. He took over my team, so check him out. I'm gonna put his link in the description. So check out my boy Sean. Yeah, most likely the next content you're gonna see from me is the conclusion of my run in the Smoke On Summer Seasonal Tournament. So stay on the lookout for that. But without further ado, you know, we're wrapped up. Thank you for watching. It's gonna be real. Shout out to the reals, bro. Peace.